No. Sideburns? No. Goatee? Maybe. Beard? Beard! Feel neglected? Not doing too well with the ladies? Well, I've got the solution for you! Low self-esteem? Throw a beer! Afraid to follow your dreams? Throw a beer! Are you lonely and sad? Throw a beer! You wanna look good and plaid? Throw a beer! Are you working out? Throw a beer! Did your car break down? Throw a beer! Ice caps melting? Throw a beer! Are you stuck in the middle of nowhere and you need to make an important phone call but the battery's dead? You can't find an outlet to plug in your charger? Grow a beard! Grow the beard, feed the beard, brush the beard, manscape the beard, stroke the beard, love the beard, fear the beard, obey the beard, obey the beard, obey the beard, behold the beard, obey the beard, accept the beard, obey the beard, respect the beard, obey the beard.
Oh my God. Becky, look at his beard. It's just so beard. Impress your dates with the beard. Eat a steak with the beard. Chop down trees with the beard. Cross your enemies with the beard. Catch a fish with the beard. Roundhouse kick with the beard. Troll the nets with the beard. Chia pets? Chia beard. Drive a truck with the beard. Try your luck with the beard. Arm wrestle with the beard. Teenage Mutant Ninja beard. Pet the doggy with the beard. Pledge allegiance to the beard. Can't grow a beard, then buy a beard. Do you have a beard? Then grow more beard.
You need to shave this thing.
Shut up, Grandma. Grow a beard. Up in the beard. Drink to the beard, cause beards are good and scruff. Obey the beard. Behold the beard. Obey the beard. Accept the beard. Obey the beard. Respect the beard. Obey the beard. I was so empty and lost inside till I grew you. I put my faith in my facial hair to get me through. Well, I can defy the odds again and again with you on my chin. With every moment you grow closer and closer to my heart. I love you, beard.
If you love it so much, why don't you just marry it?
Do you take this beard to be your lawfully wedded beard? For bearder or for worse, in scruffiness and in beard, till shave do you part? I beard. Abe Lincoln had a beard. ZZ Top, epic beard. Dimebag Darrell, nettle beard. Chuck Norris, kick-ass beard. I'm the one making beard. Chewbacca is a beard. Santa Claus, Jesus Christ, God has a beard. Obey the beard! Obey the beard! Obey the beard! Obey the beard!
Let's fade the music as I was doing there, and let's say hello, good evening from.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. Can everybody hear? Just test 1, 2, 3. I can hear both of you.
I can hear.
All right, Mr. Mountaineer. Yeah,
I hear.
Episode 7.
Episode 7.
Seven deadly sins. 7 ways to win. He doesn't actually pronounce
and
the
7
H.
words that you can't say on TV.
Hey.
Oh wait, what are they again? Oh yeah, shit, piss, fuck, cunt,
cocksucker, motherfucker,
tits.
and tits.
1, 2, 3, 4. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits. All right. I mean, these are the 7 words, right? George Carlin got arrested for these fucking things.
Yep.
Yeah.
And-
Unfucking believable.
Yeah.
Seriously? In a country that professed a belief in the freedom of speech.
Yeah.
In the past tense.
And at a place where people voluntarily bought tickets to go and see him perform, along with a bunch of other people. It was at Summerfest in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm familiar with that because I went to many a Summerfest. It still claims to be the largest music festival on Earth every year. I believe in duration and just number of people that come and go, and I think it's a 2-week affair now. So anyway, George Carlin back in, I don't know, 72, 74 maybe, somewhere in there. He is the comedian, headlining comedian at Summerfest, and he does the 7 words bit, right? And somebody called the cops, and like they showed up and like, yeah, wow, you know, and like that to me just says that even in 1974, government was tyrannical beyond belief when it comes to freedom of speech. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
I think we all agree that one of the reasons we're doing this particular show, Beard Talk Live, is because it's fucking uncensored.
Yeah. And I mean, if you don't want what you're fucking paying for, then what do you want? I mean, the one thing I can tell you about the things that I knowingly pay for, knowingly and willingly, unlike, say, all the taxation, I like them, the things that I put money toward. Duh. Like, I accept them. I know that this is what this is, and I go with it. So if I'm going to buy tickets to George Carlin,
right,
and he says the 7 words, I'm gonna not call the cops.
Yeah, it's just it's choice.
Stop sucking my dick, or I'll call the police.
It's not really how
he
it
is
works.
very likely the first person to put that entire sentence together.
In case you're wondering who you're listening to, I'm the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Joining you, Peakless Mountaineer, and
nobody.
And true to the name of Beard Talk Live, we are all bearded gentlemen. Some of us,
it's true.
Some of us may be less gentle than others, but it's hard to tell. Maybe on given days, who knows? We are debuting our fresh new logo. That's right. We spent money.
Gotta like that.
By we, I mean me. I spent money, and it wasn't expensive, but it looks pretty cool. I like it. World premiere of the logo. It only took us 7 episodes to, get something that actually, was good branding, at least for the show. Something we can use on the thumbnail, right? I've been, whenever the show is done, we use a thumbnail to indicate that it's Beard Talk Live. So there's a little image that's different. And it occurred to me that we should probably have something there. And I'm not a graphic artist by any stretch of the imagination. I'm fortunate that I can do some audio work, but so I just went on Fiverr, man. I hired a guy. I'm like, dude, can you do a thing? And he's like, sure. And he gave me a couple of proofs that sucked. And I'm like, no, dude, those suck, man. Can you make them more kick ass? And I'm paraphrasing, but like he was like, sure. And then he did. And this is what we have. So
I think that's the future. So
kicking ass?
Well, the gig economy. I mean, it catches a lot of flack, but I think the future of our economy will be a sort of custom to order, like immediate thing. I mean, as automation takes off, all of the boring shit is going to get done for us. And that only leaves things that it actually takes a creative brain to do, or that it takes a human touch to do. And those are the things that you really can order just piecemeal.
Nobody?
Yeah, it seems like seems reasonable. It's there need to be better ways to get paid in the gig economy is the only issue.
Well,
and when we are all rich enough, I look forward to seeing the day where we say pay someone to come in and tell our kids a story. Like, just random things that occur to us that need a human touch. and we are all wealthy enough to afford an actual human being to do those things for us, which is exactly what we're going to get when the cryptocurrency takes over the economy.
I'm being somewhat censored here. Okay, there you are.
Yeah, we've our crack team of producers are producing, I think.
They're producing crack?
Well, no, they're not that. No, crack
They're not
team,
that productive at the moment.
Crack team of producers, not team of crack producers. I only have the former.
Sorry, I was a little bit word lexic there.
I only have the former, not the latter, apparently. It looks like, episode 7, it looks like there's 2 fucking callers on hold right now.
Wow.
Yeah. And I saw, at first it was line 1 that lit up, but then line 2 lit up. And then line 1 went away. And then line 1 lit up again. So I'm like, does that mean I take line 2? Or does that mean I take line 1? You know, how do I make that decision now? They're both sort of equally new, right? I would take line 1 if line 1 had just stayed there, but line 1 went away. And so now I'm like, I should move to line 2 because it's next in line. But I'm not sure if I want to move to line 2 because line 1 also lit up again. Is that a new caller or is that the same guy calling back?
Well,
I'd do something if I were you.
All right. I'm just going to close my eyes and go, Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this?
I am the mother I am the one your mother warned you about.
What if my mom never warned me about anything?
he's the mother one warned me about.
Maybe I am your father.
Luke, I am your father? What?
It's
No!
That's impossible.
No, it's not. I'm 12 years older than you son of a bitch. I could be.
Star Wars had Luke kissing his sister.
Yeah, no, that goes to show exactly how much they changed the entire storyline. So, Han Solo wasn't even supposed to be a character in that fucking thing. He was just this complete outsider, but he was so beloved by everyone that watched it that they had to write him in. So, the original version, they weren't brother and sister, they weren't twins. And he was, the great hero that's supposed to end up with the princess at the end. But
I don't know, but with a name like Han Solo, do you think his alter ego might have been Ivan Wakanoff?
No, he just that's his name in an alternate Russian timeline.
There's so many things we could speak of. Captain, did you ever watch the movie I recommended to you, In the Heart of the Sea?
Nope.
Damn it. Boy, do your homework.
I haven't.
You know what it means to be stuffed in the whale's head.
To be fair,
Battle man and beast in a 20-foot boat. Oh, yeah. Serious repercussions.
To be fair to me, I haven't watched any movies since the episode 6 last week of this very show.
and for the
Talk
record,
Live.
homework is a scam.
It's true.
Well,
Have you ever seen Luke's Change?
Luke's Change.
Luke, I am your change.
Is that the one where
Yes.
the stormtroopers stand around and talk about the Death Star like it's 9/11?
Yeah, and basically the only survivor of the Death Star turns out to be the father of the man who blew it up.
And a passport.
Okay. Yes, and they also did find a Saudi Arabian passport.
Right, and aren't they like, come on, dude, he took one shot, it went, and it turned a 90-degree angle, it went right exactly where it was supposed to go? Come on, man, that's unbelievable.
I do remember that part.
Yeah.
Ricochet Rabbit. That was an old cartoon from back in the day.
Oh my
Ricochet
God,
Rabbit.
that is my hands down favorite cartoon when I was a kid.
Your hands down, not your hands solo.
No,
Okay.
no.
You remember El Kabong?
Oh yeah.
I remember King Bong.
All I have to
He
tell
was
you is
my-
bing, bing, bing. Ricochet Rabbit. Hmm?
El Kabong was oh Jesus, what was it? There was a horse and a little
Oh, yeah.
chihuahua. And El Kabong was
Kabong!
his, alter ego, like
Violence, but
he was
not
Zorro.
deadly
He would
violence.
smash the guitar and stuff.
Do you not remember El Kabong?
El Kabong.
He was
El Kabong.
an anthropomorphic horse.
It sounds like a bong made of elk. El Kabong. Hey, man, are we going to smoke out of, like, Johnny Smokes tonight? No, man, we're going to use El Kabong.
Nice.
That's what it sounds like.
You're smoking too much Elka dust. The best pipe I ever
Does elk
smoked
get you high?
Got a big old elk horn.
Oh, I don't know. I've never smoked elk, although it sounds delicious.
Smoked elk is delicious.
Yeah. I've had many a
Smoked anything is delicious.
It's true.
Yeah. Smoked cheese, man. It's so good. And I'm not just talking about Gouda. I'm talking about, like, any cheese, really, man.
You guys were off on that tampon thing. I remember one day back in
We were
Playboy,
off on a tampon?
like 1978 Playboy.
Oh,
There
what do
was,
you do? What do you do when your
cartoon.
stay-free maxi pad catches on fire? You tampon it.
Oh, that sounds like the old dog
Okay,
doing
that
a
was
joke
bad.
with the paper bag. But anyway, there's a drunken vampire staggering out of an alley, and the scene before it is a drunkard staggering into the alley.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another one about two vampires fighting over the tampon from a drunken woman. It was there was stupid shit went on back in the day, but
Still goes on. Thunder reported, though.
Yeah, the world's not getting any smarter.
Well,
let us Tampax all the fires.
so
out.
weirdly enough, while the world isn't getting smarter, everyone's getting better at IQ tests.
Really?
Well, that's
Yeah.
because they've lowered the standards, dog.
No, it
They
is
did
not.
lower the standard.
It is not because they lowered the standards. No, that's the thing. You actually have to adjust the standards on a regular basis in order to keep 100 at the dead center. So as people's scores change, you have to adjust the test itself.
But isn't it, like, I feel like a alert. Isn't it true that, like, in the 1800s, children's reading level was at, like, senior and college level by the time they were in, 10th grade?
Yeah.
So, so how did that occur?
The reading
if-
level that existed is something that
people
almost
aren't-
no one has today.
Right. So in my opinion, I feel like people are getting dumber. Think it's
Okay,
pretty
so
obvious.
What's the definition of history?
I agree.
You know I like to dabble in Latin. I want to hear what you guys got to tell me on that one. Because I will tell you.
On what one?
History. What is the Latin definition of history?
Oh, I don't know. I don't speak Latin. I speak igpe atenle, but that doesn't outke.
Oh, well, pig ass myself.
Igpe as ye I may elf say.
All right, him, he. That's
His story.
You got to take this.
Are you saying that's
Is
actually
his
what
a
the
Latin
word history
word?
is?
Oh, I don't know. Is his a
You
Latin
have
word?
to take this into the context of the time it
Nobody
was
would know.
That sounds
Which
like
was
English to
about
me.
2,000 years ago. They're talking about Jesus, his story,
Oh, Christ.
his story, something that can be told and built upon.
Well,
Simple.
I will point this
When you
out.
break it down
Hey,
right
Captain,
quick.
what year is it?
The calendars claim it's 2022.
1778, and we're going to go to Nantucket and kill a fucking whale, you asshole.
Okay.
No, I mean,
don't
honestly,
know why
why?
Pico's sitting out here. I don't know why. I've. It's always just been taught to me that time is linear, and we keep track of it by using things like clocks and calendars.
But why 2022? What happened 2022 years ago?
Oh, right, 0. Where's year 0? What happened then?
Well, no, this is the
No,
thing.
I'm asking you. I don't know.
Throughout recorded history, we have kept track of time by whose reign it is. So when you would talk
Right.
about events, it would be like the 431st reign of this dynasty or of this person.
Slayer's been reigning in blood since 1982 because that's when they first released Reign in Blood. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the 40th year of the reign of Slayer.
Nice. Yeah.
So, to be fair,
It's a pretty long reign.
there is this weird sort of subconscious agreement of the reign of Jesus. at least as a useful fiction, if nothing else.
For some sort of an historical fiction is some sort of a marker for a tool that basically all of humanity uses.
Well, let me run this one by you, boys. The shot here, the Fauci ouchie. If you tie that into the Book of Revelation, that might well be perceived as the mark of the beast. I have it on pretty good information from people a lot smarter than me that everybody who took the poke is going to be dead in like 10 years.
Man, I saw somebody online today. It was like, got my fifth one, and it was like, anybody know where I can get this particular variety of the fifth one? Sorry, Major, go ahead.
No, well, I mean, you think about it. There was the harpoon. Remember sickle cell anemia? The boomerang-shaped blood cells that attacked the black population back in the 80s? All they did was they put a spiked head on a thing that caused a log jam in the blood system.
Hence the name sickle cell.
There shouldn't be 20-something-year-old athletes just dropping dead.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law dropped dead.
Yeah,
right on the living room floor, face down, felt like a piece of firewood.
Yeah,
I'm sorry to hear it, man. But yeah, the occurrence of myocarditis in 6-year-olds, come on, that's not a thing. Yeah, no, like the most innocent version of like what this looks like to me is they're trying to literally replace our immune system and say, okay, you will have to purchase an upgrade from us for every disease.
Some of the first things that were written about it was this method that they're using. That's why it wasn't called a vaccine. This method that they're using is comparable to an operating system. To an operating system. This is the quote from the scientists who created this thing, this mRNA, platform. Right? Yes, this is a platform. It is an operating system on which many other things can run or be run. And that to me was the scariest fucking thing I have medically heard. That they're injecting people with what could be an operating system? Fuck you.
I honestly see this as a potential split in the human species. Seriously, because if they're fucking with the biology of the people who have this platform injected in them, then that can very quickly turn into not human. Whereas the people who, don't breed with the ones who've gotten injected don't have that platform there. Because they've proven that at least the spike proteins can be transmitted through breast milk. So I mean, this platform is getting transmitted.
Major, don't go anywhere. Stay right there.
I don't know that it's clear. They've found the spike proteins in breast milk. I don't know if they've found it in, for example, nursing infants. That's another step, and I don't know if it's taken that step.
Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this?
This is Jack. How are you?
Jack in Ocean Shores, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so I have worked with polling in the past, with politics and small government. So I have a question. And you can't go deep into it or give a political response. It's a question. You have a 5-year-old child, boy or girl, or whatever it wants to call itself. Who would you rather babysit the child? Joe Biden or Donald Trump? And be honest.
No, Donald Trump.
Sadly, yeah. Yeah, I've seen Biden sniff way too many people.
Yeah, I would not want Biden sniffing my kid. He's a creepy mother.
Yeah, and these are all monsters. Yeah. But monsters are different. I mean, the Mummy is not Frankenstein.
Right.
Frankenstein is not a vampire.
Well, Frankenstein isn't actually the monster. Frankenstein's the doctor. The monster.
Frankenstein is a style of monster now. So you can now be a Frankenstein. Okay, and it's just a style of monster.
Dr. Frankenstein, the monster, was never named in the movie.
That's true. Although I would say that Dr. Frankenstein was the real monster. No, seriously,
No,
you don't go
no,
fucking with
absolutely.
nature
Yeah,
like
you don't-
this.
yeah.
What are you, Dr. Fauci?
Dude.
Ooh, Faucienstein.
Faucienstein.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Rockin'
Faucienstein.
Fauci
That
style.
is my gift.
He's the one digging up dead bodies and bringing different parts together and making monsters. That is so crazy. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
I really liked the Frankenstein from the book because the Frankenstein in the book, he looked horrific, of course, because he'd been stitched together from corpses, but he was intelligent and he was well-spoken. And he was, to me, it was a man created imperfect, able to face his creator and say, why the hell did you do this to me?
Yeah. And he's immortal. So there's that.
Allegedly, I mean.
Well, no. That was a huge part of like what the terror of that horror novel was about.
In the book, you're saying.
Yeah, is that by creating something that doesn't die, you have set it so apart from all that is natural and all that humanity is that he, spoiler alert, that he literally goes to live at the North Pole.
Can I bring up one person's name right now?
I don't know. Can you?
Yeah, Gene Wilder.
Oh, comedian.
I miss him.
Young Frankenstein.
Yep.
I miss him.
Yep.
And Young Frankenstein was hilarious.
Mac Davis. Googly eyes.
Frau Bruja.
That has got to be one of the only Mel Brooks films that you would still be able to make today.
Blazing Saddles. Yeah.
No fucking way you could make Blazing Saddles today. But I do think you could make Young Frankenstein today.
There's a litany of movies I think that like have been ignored. Like Hollywood's all in this and they've been for 2-3 decades now. This remake thing, they figured out if they make one hit one, it makes money. But they do a bunch of ones that suck ass before they get one that is okay. But there's a whole bunch of movies they've been ignoring. Damnation Alley. This is a post-apocalypse, probably 1980, I'm thinking, 82 tops. George Peppard, Jan Michael Vincent. The nukes go off, and Earth gets knocked off its axis. A whole bunch of people die, and only people who were underground avoided the radiation survive. They start coming up from underground as soon as the coast is so-called clear. And these two guys meet up. It's George Peppard and Jan Michael Vincent, and they get into this military vehicle that is amphibious, right? So it can do water and on land, and it's got this weird instead of having wheels like a semi-truck would, it had sets of 3 wheels in a pyramid, and so when you got a flat, the thing would just kick over into the next tire. And so each wheel was actually a triangle of 3 wheels on this amphibious armored carrier. Anyway, they travel across the country and encounter all sorts of fucking, weird-ass mutants and giant cockroaches and, all this kind of shit. And then an event takes place that sort of tries to knock the Earth back on its axis to correct it all or whatever. This would be a great fucking Bruckheimer-style film or, something like a J.J. Abrams or something like that. The story is solid, right? And it was just poorly put together and underfunded and super early in film, before CGI was invented. So the movie itself is cheesy as fuck. It is filmed poorly, right? But it's still a professional quality film in that respect, just from it's dated, right, when you watch it. But Hollywood could easily take that story and make that into a fucking blockbuster spectacular, right?
Oh yeah.
And they don't. There's a bazillion of these tiny stories that,
come
that are
on,
great
that's
stories.
a Michael Bay movie waiting to happen.
There's a ton of these stories that are amazing stories that with the right special effects, especially just CGI. CGI is so good now. Right? CGI is so good. I'm old, so I remember
CGI is so good that they're starting to experiment with making just people's faces with it, which is, I think, a terrible idea because, Uncanny Valley is a thing. What were we
You
saying?
guys can't hear me.
What's that, Jack?
Starship Troopers.
Starship
Troopers.
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 Love that movie.
Yeah,
Would you like to know more?
I liked the book a lot better.
I would love to see what they would do with the special effects of today in that movie.
I'm doing my part.
Are you?
So the ultimate propaganda film, right? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because while, it was a war with the bugs and all that kind of stuff, the propaganda was just so snarky and in your face. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, it's fun.
What were we talking about?
I don't know. Now I'm thinking about Starship Troopers, and also I'm thinking about Ender's Game at the same time. And I'm wondering, like, did those two take place in the same universe? Because they were both like these wars against bugs.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, that's where my head's at.
What about, what was it called? Section
Demolition
something?
Man's
No. The area something.
Orson Scott. Anyway,
it's the one with the sort of the Australian guy, but like they fight these cricket-looking bugs who.
Mad Max.
No, not Mad Max.
Those weren't crickets. Those were people, bro.
Something 9, Area 9, Section 9.
Oh,
Sector
Plan 9.
No, not Plan 9.
Oh, not Plan 9 from outer space?
No.
The aliens that landed their plane.
Potion number 9. No, not that.
I have to look it up.
Rick Potion number 9. You've Cronenberg the world.
Hey, buddy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. How you doing? You just noticed I'm here?
No, I've known you were here the whole time. In fact, I looked for you.
No, I was actively ignoring you before.
No, I didn't. I love him. That's why I'm looking for him.
Oh, man.
Somebody say something.
Popcorn, sorry.
It's a show, goddammit. It's a talk show. Talk. The fuck.
Okay.
Isn't there another caller?
No, it's.
Well, I don't know if he hung up and called back. Or, all right, Jack, hang on. Stay right there. Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this?
Oh, dickhead, you done hung up on me twice? You asked me who it is.
I didn't hang up on you at all, actually. You stayed right where you were. Thanks.
You kiss my go to hell anyway.
Kiss my go to hell.
Nobody had something he wanted to ask you. Nobody. Go ahead, ask Major your question.
Bastard that you are.
I didn't have anything I wanted to ask him.
All right, well, then make something up, maybe?
If a chicken and a half can lay an egg and a half in a day and a half, how long would it take a grasshopper with a wooden leg to kick all the seeds out of a dill pickle?
About as long as it would take a woodchuck to chuck a cord and a half.
Nice.
Okay. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
As many peppers as Peter would pick when Peter picked a peck of pickled peppers.
You mean that picky people pick Peter Pan peanut butter because it's the peanut butter picky people pick?
Why would a man put a wife in a pumpkin?
It's a good question.
I don't know why.
Seems like a strange way to keep her.
Either. Well, we're coming up on Halloween, so I'm gonna make a.
It's not Halloween. It's Halloween.
Redneck joke. What do hillbilly inbreds and Halloween have in common?
What do hillbilly inbreds and Halloween have in common?
A whole lot of ugly?
Pumpkin.
No, that's what southern incest people do for Halloween. They pumpkin. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And it's an unseedly thing.
I mean, that's pretty much it.
So I got a fun fact for you. Christmas and Halloween are basically the same holiday to two different people. So Christmas...
Yeah, the pagans and the Christians, you're corrupt.
Well, no, so it's the farmers and the ranchers. So Halloween is when the harvest comes in, and you find out how much you've got extra, and you've stowed away your grain. So that's when you know exactly how much you can spend partying, is because you've taken in all your harvest.
Well, that's Harvest Fest, yes.
Right. Now, Christmas, the midwinter festival, is when you get halfway through the winter, you say, okay, how much food do I have, because we're halfway through this thing, and how much cattle do I have, and how many extra cattle that I can't feed do I have? Because we're going to slaughter that many and have a feast out of that. And in both cases, sorry, go ahead.
No.
Yeah, and in both cases, you have these groups of wanderers that go mostly to rich people's houses and demand part of their stuff, or else.
Sounds like police.
I know, right? But no, bring me some figgy pudding.
Christmas?
Bring it right here. Bring it right now. We won't go until we get some. So bring it right here.
Until we get some.
We won't go until we get some. So bring it right now.
Reverse taxation. I like the concept.
Yeah, it's trick or treat and caroling. It's the same tradition.
Sounds kind of like UBI. Where does the funding come from?
I know, right?
Where does the funding come from for something like that? Reverse taxation, right? Because like somebody's got to be giving out the money. Where does it come from?
Well, the
rich
government
people.
doesn't have anything it didn't steal from somebody, so
Right.
Can't come from them. The only things they produce are corpses and famine.
Well, they've got what they stole from nobody.
I obviously
Too soon?
played Last Caller by his deluge, and you guys probably ain't going to believe this, but I was an altar boy, and I don't want to hear...
How were you altered?
Or who did you alter?
Yeah, I knew one of you assholes was going to go there. I didn't want to hear no southern poking bullshit. I was never violated any time, and I've been in jail many times.
Actually, neither of us asked about that, but so I'm glad to hear it, though.
Well, no, that was where he was coming from with kind of a left hook thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Major, you know your phone still sounds like shit, by the way.
I can smell a fucking skunk, buddy.
I ran over one the other day. To be fair, somebody else had already run over it, and it was dead. But then I also ran over it because it was, well, in the road.
I wonder, will future generations have a story or a joke about why skunks smell so much like weed? Just a thought.
Well, if you hit them right well, they just play possum.
All right, well, Major, you stay right there. Don't go anywhere. Stay right there, Major. Stay right there. Don't go anywhere. Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this?
Well, you just fucking knocked on my goddamn door. Who just said about the faces of the women and the men? And look what's happened in the last 2 years. I'm sorry, but you nailed it, dude.
Who do what now?
Oh, he was. So when I put him on hold, he was listening to Free Talk Live from earlier. That's what the hold music is. He's not hearing this show. And so now he's like, dude, whatever you just said, you fucking nailed it, right? But he's not listening to, he didn't hear our whole entire interaction with the Major.
It is live earlier. You'd mentioned that the skulls and stuff of women and men are weird.
Okay.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know that you can tell the difference between a male and female skull.
All right, what's your favorite kind of pizza?
Yeah.
If you had 2 toppings on a pizza, what would you choose?
I thought they had to look at the hips.
Someone at the door?
Because hips don't lie.
Yeah, you can tell. You can tell from the skull. You can tell from the hips. Yeah, there's. I'm sure there's other ways. I know that the easiest way for me as a massage therapist to tell the difference between the male and female body is the hips. It is a huge difference.
Well, don't they still have everything when you're massaging them? I mean.
Oh yeah, no, it's just a matter of like the shape of the muscles is different because the shape of the bones is different. So like the width of female hips is just ridiculous.
Isn't that nice?
It is.
Viva la difference.
Viva la difference.
All right. Hey, Jack, stay right there. Stay right there. Don't go anywhere. Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this?
It's your female side of your conscience talking to you. That's who the fuck it is.
Roberta?
Hey, Robert.
What's going on, dude?
Of course, it's Rob. Hey, Rob. How are you, man?
Hey, well, it's another day in paradise.
Yeah.
As far as I know, no one hasn't invoked the coronavirus on me, and no one hasn't taken a shot at me.
Well,
gotta like that.
Good news.
It's a good day so far.
Yeah.
It is good news. And the reason why I'm calling is because I want to report some even better news. And that is...
Live on the scene, it's Rob with even better news.
Even better news.
West Brattleboro, Vermont will be opening up a new cannabis dispensary.
Who is?
Yeah, in October. Vermont is supposed to allow recreational cannabis and be opening recreational retail outlets in Vermont.
It's so nice of our masters to let us do this.
Right, yeah. Nice of them to allow free market to engage and people to voluntarily exchange freely with each other, except only
I doubt it's a free market. It's Vermont.
Yeah, yeah.
So
except only
I would assume that's probably a government-run cartel.
Only if they do it in the very specific way that the government tells them to do things. Yeah.
But I'm glad you're getting a dispensary over there.
At least that, but I mean, I grow my own shit anyway, because at least I know what I'm getting.
Yeah, that is the one thing that I really do wish we had here in New Hampshire. Like, the whole legalization of sale thing, it's like, yeah, I know you're going to tax it, and you're going to be like, oh, this is our new drug cartel. Here's what I would like to see is it's literally a weed. It's so easy to grow. And, God, it's been the foundation of human civilization, and especially America. But we can't grow it.
Not allowed. You're not allowed to specifically, but, in some ways, not making it a government-regulated retail marketplace, in some way is a little bit more free than making it a government-regulated marketplace, right?
True.
Like government in New Hampshire just doesn't want to, they're fine with it being, quote, decriminalized, unquote, as in, the very bottom of things that they'll prosecute you for. It's still illegal, according to them.
We will only extort you and not kidnap you.
Right, yeah, or try to shoot you. But, so, in that regard...
Unless you don't pay us.
In that regard, New Hampshire as a government is allowing people to exchange it and smoke it and, all that kind of thing without, persecuting them for it.
Right.
So that's that's more free than it was before. They just haven't taken that other step that a lot of other states have where they're like, okay, now you can open a store called the Bud Hut or whatever, right? I'm trying to remember the stupid name of the one in Seattle. It was called the Pot Store. Oh, you geniuses! Well done with your name and creativity. Yeah,
and one of the things I found out about Denver is that, as tends to happen in a regulated market, instead of having a whole variety of mom and pop shops doing all the pot sales, no. Eventually, you end up with literally
chains.
2 companies that own the entire thing.
Yep.
And it's and that's the thing. I don't give a fuck about selling it in stores and all of that. Just let me grow the damn thing.
Yeah.
Let me grow the flowers that I want to grow. I know it's a big ask.
Yeah, a lot of folks here in New Hampshire, at least in the freedom movement, big on gardening, or at least the idea of it. And so, you should be able to garden whatever the fuck you want.
That fucking asshole, Prince Sununu, he didn't want people to be able to enjoy or be able to get any of this medicine.
What is it? His Highness? No, His Excellency.
His Excellency.
Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I call him a fucking asshole is what I call him.
Yeah, we're referring to his stationery literally refers to him as His Excellency the Governor.
Well, you can call him that if you want to, but I don't bow down.
No, sticking feathers up your butt doesn't make you a chicken.
Hey, do you think nobody's asleep?
And being governor doesn't make you excellent.
Oh,
that's a fact.
It's like I summoned him.
Yeah, and the very simple reason that he won't ever change his mind on pot is because he is making too much money off of the alcohol taxes that we have.
Somebody close to him that smokes weed needs to just smoke him out.
Yeah.
Or get him to eat a half of a pot brownie or something, and then he'll change his mind.
As nice as that is, or would be, and as unlikely, even then, no, I mean, it's not the goodness of his heart that, keeps him putting people in jail or extracting money from everyone who wants to use a rival product. No, he's bought and paid for by the taxes on our alcohol.
Well, if you ask me, he's not being called out enough of all of the crap that goes on in his state.
Well, and
his state, like he owns it.
Well, at least the state that he says that he represents, anyway.
Yeah.
But he's just as guilty as the
and this is one of the
cartels that go across this country.
Yeah, this is one of the biggest downsides of our political machinery. Unfortunately, the Republican Party won't give us any real choices. And he is so ingrained and ingratiated in that circle that there's no getting rid of him. Much to my chagrin.
He's like herpes. He just keeps coming back.
Yep.
Well, the system is set up to fail. It's been that way since the fucking beginning. I was really quite shocked. I've been doing research on, people that were wrongfully convicted and sent to jail. And it goes back to like the late 1800s, the recordings of this in courts of law where wrongful convictions were going on. But it's never really made, a lot of noise. Until within the last probably 20 years.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing about courts. I have never seen a single rule that they will consistently follow.
No.
No,
because it's all for them and fuck the rest of the people.
Yeah. Courts are operated just like jails are operated just like schools for the convenience of the staff.
Well, and at the behest of the state.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the same motherfuckers that we went to school with and drank with and had a great time with. Those are the same people that break these fucking laws. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to fucking care.
Nobody? Did you notice? Did you care?
I did notice, and I did care.
Thank you for noticing that I noticed.
And thank you for noticing that you did notice and that you also care.
And thank you for caring that I care.
I noticed.
But yeah, you have to have a way to keep people accountable, or people won't be kept accountable. And the whole nature of government, so-called, is that they're not accountable.
Right. The way you hold people accountable is by allowing them to freely associate with other people.
Right.
Well, it's always been said that ignorance of the law is no excuse. But when the law breaks the law,
they have all sorts of excuses. He was coming right for me.
Right.
They just shot a 15-year-old girl the other day. It was something happened. It was a couple that were getting a divorce, and the guy pulled the gun, shot the wife, killed her, allegedly. Right? This is all allegedly. And then he supposedly abducted their daughter, 15-year-old girl. They jumped into the pickup truck. The truck was spotted. Police chased him. And then shots were fired, and the truck eventually veered off the road. And somebody gets out of the truck, the passenger side, with wearing a helmet and like a Kevlar vest, like a military, bulletproof looking thing, and starts running towards the police. The police shoot and kill her. It's believed that the dad had been shot in the first barrage, and he was in the driver's seat shot and was like, here, put this on and get to safety. That's what the theory is anyway. So the girl gets out of the truck, runs towards what she believes to be safety, towards the police, right? And boom, gone. Ends her life.
Yeah. Yeah, and some versions of this story are putting it off as, no, she was firing a machine gun at the police.
Except the only gun that was found was with her dad in the front seat of the truck.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the story that they're saying. Oh, no, she was firing a machine gun at police. No, you shot an innocent girl who thought she would find safety by running to the police.
Her name was Savannah Graziano.
And let that be a lesson to the rest of us.
Ones that really get me are the ones that, the police knowingly commit the crimes, but they just get away with it. Like Ruby Ridge. There's nobody held accountable for the the Las Vegas shooter. The assassination of JFK, Bobby Kennedy.
Yeah. So not only
I've taken to thinking of Bill Clinton as the butcher of Waco.
Ooh, nice. Not only what was I gonna say?
Him and Janet Reno.
Oh, she was a piece of work.
Yep.
They're all murderers, all of them, right? Not only does most of the population pay to have these people who do these things, these murderers, these police, these politicians, these assorted bureaucrats, right, that are all funded by taxation. Not only are you forced to pay for that, but when they do something egregiously wrong, like murder an innocent girl, they are never really held accountable, and instead, who's held accountable? The same people who paid for it in the first place, right? Because they're stealing your tax money to pay for this organization, and then when they murder a 15-year-old girl, somebody's going to sue them, somebody's going to be awarded millions of dollars, and that millions of dollars isn't coming from the cops who shot her, it's coming from the taxpayers every fucking time.
Yep.
Well, and see, this is why they needed to destroy the American identity as even capitalist. Like, as much as is wrong with that word and the crony capitalism that goes along with it, like, even the idea that we're capitalist was an idea that they had to destroy and eradicate from our culture because it comes along with the idea that competition's a good thing, that we get better service when you have options.
We do.
Yes.
And we have more fun.
And turns out, the more important the job is, the more important it is that you have choices of who provides that job. And they can't let us think that. Because then we would start shopping around for government. And discover there is no shop.
I think nobody's asleep.
No.
No? Oh, okay. You're still here?
Yep, I'm still here.
All right.
Nobody's here, man.
I'm still here.
Is nobody here? All right, Rob, stay right where you are. Stay right where you are. Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this?
I am your father, Luke.
No!
Is this a rerun?
Yeah, it's like Vuja Day.
I was
the
going to
feeling
say,
that nothing like this has ever happened
to have
before.
the power of resurrection.
He said erection.
I am the one your mother warned you about.
Hey, he pulled off the line.
Nobody's chugging Mountain Dew. We can see what you're doing, dude.
Well,
True.
this might go to hell, you furry-lip bastards.
Is that all you had to say?
Is that like a person with glasses calling you Four Eyes?
Oh, maybe.
Well, I damn sure ain't no shave tail.
Hey,
Shave tail.
Who the hell were we talking to just a minute ago? Oh, Rob. Does Rob have a beard?
He does not.
Are you sure?
Well,
Major, stay right there. Hang on. Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this?
It's the same guy you were talking with 2 minutes ago.
Yeah,
Rob.
I know. Rob, right?
do you have a beard?
Yeah, well, of course I do.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, all right, stay right there. All right, Major. Apparently,
Show's got to have standards.
Apparently, Rob does have a beard, so we just wanted to confirm that.
God almighty, you boys are confusing me.
What was that?
All right. I'm going to... There's so many marbles rolling around my roulette wheel right now, I don't hardly know how to land.
Are you spinning? Is the room spinning?
A guy, a senator from Florida, that has introduced a bill where every law that has been passed will have to come up for review every 5 years.
I love it.
My God. Can you imagine the accountability and the knots in the panties in the White House right now?
Yeah, well, what they're going to end up doing is reviewing all those laws and making them more modern. cataloging every one of them so they could program them in the software.
No, I love this. The idea of like you have to either pass this law again
expect
or it
government
stops existing.
to review itself and eliminate the fat? Do you really trust it to do that? No.
I really
it's going to
expect
review
that this
itself.
will slow down
It's going
the
to review
grind of
itself
government.
and grow
I
faster.
think they'll probably just write one bill that every 5 years that says, okay, yeah, we're gonna renew all of the laws for 5 years.
Every alphabet agency that is in existence gets a 7, 10, 12% bump every year, automatically appropriated.
Yep.
Everything
must
will
be nice.
Come into review.
Yep. It's not based on merit. It's not based on performance. It never is, and it never has been. That's another reason for it not to exist. Is because the outcome does not equal more than the input. In fact, it's the opposite of that. More is put into it as far as human effort than humans actually get out of it. There's no benefit.
Well, and this is why the only solution is to innovate around this thing.
Yeah.
I remember you bitched at me the other night, Captain. I just took you off speaker. I keep forgetting.
Yeah, you sound much fucking better.
Yeah, I'm sure I fucking do.
Wow, so bitching at you,
You know
works?
I love you.
Major,
Anyway,
give me $1 million fucking dollars. Major, give me $1 million fucking dollars. I'm bitching at you to give me $1 million fucking
dollars.
dollars.
I recommend to you. All right, you remember how I was just talking to you about this senator?
All right, you know what? Hang on.
He's a hard ass.
I have to apologize to
and
you.
there's another one that's
Major.
running in Oregon.
Major, I have
this
to.
guy was a Green Beret.
Major.
There's a movie I want to recommend to you is 12 Strong. This dude led the only
Major.
cavalry attack in 150 fucking years
All right.
in Afghanistan.
Yep.
He took 12 men.
All right, well, stay right
And
there.
only
Stay right
6
there.
of-
Hang on. Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this?
Jack's just fucking listening.
Fuck, I forgot about Jack. Sorry, man.
Oh, all right, dude. I was enjoying the show.
You weren't listening to this show, though, were you? You were listening to the show from earlier, right? Because you were on hold.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm up to date right now.
Oh.
I got my iPad going at the same time I have the phone on. So.
Well, what you said you wanted to ask nobody something. What do you want to ask him?
Actually, a question for everybody.
Okay.
Favorite pizza, 2 toppings, only 2, thick or thin crust. I'm going to start with nobody.
Pepperoni and mushroom.
Thick or thin? Nobody?
Nobody?
Huh?
Thick or
Thin
thin?
crust or thick crust?
Probably thick.
Like pan or hand tossed? Like pan is fried and hand tossed is just more like thicker than thin crust.
I like the pan.
Who's next? Jack?
My favorite's pepperoni and pineapple, and I know I'll be killed for that, but I'm on the West Coast, so.
Pepperoni and pineapple?
Thick or thin?
Yeah. Thick.
Thick as in pan or thick as in hand tossed?
Hand tossed.
Okay, all right. Peakless?
Not Chicago.
Oh, okay. Peakless?
2
toppings, favorite pizza?
Mushroom and olive.
Oh.
Thin crust.
Thin crust, yeah. Cracker?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Now, don't get racial.
Again. Deputy thing.
Thanks. I was not going to get that one.
My favorite 2 toppings, right? If I have to choose 2 toppings,
right?
First of all, I'm going pan crust. Just frying the bread is brilliant, right? Like that little browns, whatever.
It was a very, very close second.
I'm very partial to the Little Caesars square pan crust that they had. Very partial to that. It fried the bread really well. My favorite 2 toppings, though, are pepperoni and breakfast bacon. I have to make the distinction between Canadian bacon so I don't mistakenly get pepperoni and ham. I really don't like pepperoni and ham as like a 2-topping pizza. There are far more 2-topping combinations that I prefer over pepperoni and ham. But pepperoni and breakfast bacon, dude, that's the fucking hit, man. Like every time I order that, I'm like,
What is
glad I got that.
breakfast bacon? I've never heard those words put together.
It's
time.
it's the kind of bacon you fry up in a pan in strips that you buy at the grocery
American
store
bacon
in a pound, and it's either regular cut or it's thick cut bacon, right?
If it comes from a pound, it's probably dog bacon.
It doesn't come from a pound. It's packaged in quantities of 1 pound. Or no, actually, now I saw one the other day. Instead of 16 ounces of bacon, it's 12 ounces. But it was the same price as you used to pay for a pound. So shrinkflation.
Right. Real quick question here. I'm getting pretty tired. I'm a big comic book fan, Marvel, DC.
Yep.
So the last movies that came out that were huge were Spider-Man, was it Lost Universe, and then The Batman. So what like the most? I know all of you have seen them. I would guarantee it. I've seen them also. So, but which one was your favorite and why?
I'm going Spider-Man just because, man, like Spider-Man was like for me one of the more sort of believable superheroes. Like I like Batman a lot because he was just a dude, albeit a wealthy dude, but he didn't really have superpowers. But Spider-Man was like, oh, I got bit by a spider and now I can do these weird things, and then made a suit and went out and fought crime. I thought that was awesome. So just the premise of Spider-Man makes him top slot for me.
Reminds me of my friend Manic Kit. We used to say that she was bitten by a radioactive kitten when she was a little girl, and then we realized that she was bitten by a radioactive little girl when she was a kitten.
Meow. Peakless?
I haven't seen any new superhero
None of the
movies.
new Marvel movies?
Not really.
Oh.
Like, I saw
This is one of those times
Doctor
where
Strange.
I'm like, I might
like
know
the
more
first
about
one?
a subject than you. This is weird. This is uncharted territory. I'm not sure how to feel about that.
Well, when it comes to pop culture, you definitely do.
I'm not that big of a pop culture nerd, but I know some about a lot, but nothing about much.
And when it comes to music, you definitely have me there. And all of the tech stuff.
Right.
Oh, the scary
Jack,
tech
you sound
stuff.
like you're falling asleep, man. Are you okay?
Yeah, no, it's fine. My phone's getting close to dying.
All right,
I'm gonna
well,
hold for a bit. I don't
I'm
care.
kind of
All right,
terrified
stay
about
right
watching
there,
a
stay
new
right there.
Batman.
Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this?
Want to try that again?
Oh, it's Rob still. Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
You just keep forgetting who's on all these lines, don't you?
No, I know. I just,
Are you
He says
are
the
you
hang
wearing
on,
out
little
our
boy, man.
are you wearing out our customary greeting?
It just looks cooler when the phone lines are packed.
Oh, is that what it is? So it makes you look like you're busy, huh?
I mean, so here's some life advice that I like to give people from time to time. And that is, if there's something you want to do in life, just start doing it. Right? Like, if you want to be like a reporter, well, get yourself a camera or just grab your cell phone, go find something newsworthy, and then point it towards yourself and begin reporting on the subject. Right. And then, put it somewhere where people can find it online and all the different websites you can do this kind of shit on. And then now you're a reporter. Right. Now make yourself a business card that says blah, blah, Bob Smith, reporter. Right. And then when people go, what do you do, Bob? I'm a reporter. Here's my business. And like if you start doing the thing you want to become, suddenly you become it. And so like really simple things like I know.
Hold on. So does that mean that I can throw on a robe and start moving my hands in weird ways and I'll just eventually
be a wizard?
Yeah. Right?
You have the appropriate beard. I think you need to work on the hat.
That's what it is, the hat game.
You are going to need a pointy hat.
Well, I mean, Doctor Strange doesn't have a hat at all.
Well,
he's not a
strange.
wizard, he's a doctor.
Yes, and he's also strange. So I know of a person who wanted to work at NASA, but they didn't have money to go to college and study, astrophysics and literal rocket science and that kind of thing. But what they did is they showed up at like a bunch of places that NASA would either be or facilities that were open to the public. right? And they just showed up, and eventually they became known to the people, and they, were respectful of, and just like showed up. Yeah, I'm just interested. One day I hope to work for NASA, right? And then eventually somebody gave them a job. And then they were able to work their way up, and I realize that NASA's a government, whatever. But I'm just saying that they wanted to work at NASA, and they showed up. That's all they did. They just started showing up where NASA people were, and suddenly they were working for NASA, right? I'm just saying, like, this is a thing that, like, if there's a thing you want to do, just go do it, or be around the people who are already in that industry. Some way, shape, or form, volunteer or hang out where they hang out after work for beers or whatever. And then when something comes up, they'll be like, oh, hey, this guy, maybe we could put him to work for us and doing the thing. He said he was interested in this kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, one of the awful
stalker.
A job stalker?
A job stalker.
Oh, that's interesting.
Stalk the job you want.
I like that.
I don't like
But you have to be careful taking people's work advice, because some of it's really bad. Like, they told me to dress for the job I wanted instead of the job that I had. Next thing you know, I'm sitting down in human resources dressed like Batman. And
again.
Yeah. So some of this advice is bad.
You skipped a step. See, you're supposed to dress like Bruce Wayne, then become Batman.
Yeah. You got to start at the bottom, I guess.
Yep.
But no, I mean, it's a very strange thing that, like, speaking about things really can manifest them into being. Like, if there's this particular place where I want a bridge, and that's what I want. I want a bridge. If I just keep talking to people about there being a bridge there, then eventually we can, like, reach the point where someone else goes, yeah, I want a bridge there. Okay, well, now we have an organization. And now if we just keep talking to people about there being a bridge there, eventually we can get someone who's like, yeah, I'm willing to invest in a bridge being there.
Yep.
So you can actually speak things into being. It just takes time.
Well, yeah, it's participate in the thing that you envision.
Right.
That's really all it is.
Yep. You have to also believe in it too.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if
you do have to believe you're capable. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is your task that you're trying to do, you got to believe in it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, like, being nearby is not enough. Like, for example, you'll notice very few groupies become rock musicians. But I can tell you this much.
But a lot of them get pregnant.
That's true.
But a lot of road crew do, because they're already musicians, and then when somebody, like, breaks an arm in a freak amplifier accident or something, they're just ready to jump in, and they already know the tunes.
Yep. But I mean, didn't rock stars, they had what do they call it? Fertility insurance back then.
Fertility insurance?
Yeah.
Huh. For what? Like when the baby mama come to sue?
Well, yeah. I mean, if they did well, I mean, we're on Beer Talk Live, so I guess I can say, if they went and they did they went and got laid, and if there was a pregnancy, then they could use this fertility insurance in order to be able to use it for like a settlement.
Right.
Something that David Lee Roth came up with.
Wow. Why doesn't everyone have this?
David Lee Roth, the probably one of the best rock and roll singers, or at least most popular rock and roll singers of the 70s and 80s, who also sounds like he's also a serial killer. 3 names.
Probably is.
Right? You can just hear the headline, right? And the bodies of 4 people were found at the home of one David Lee Roth. Right?
It's true.
Serial
killers, they always tell you the middle name.
Generally an assassin.
That's right.
Like
that's
John
right.
Wilkes Booth or
John Wilkes Booth.
He had the body.
But then it was Sirhan.
That's 2 names.
Or 1 name, depending on how you count.
Oh, we lost.
If they had the
we lost the
bodies in
major,
his place,
and we lost
he'd be
Jack.
in
We're
the
just down
camera.
to Rob now.
We got robbed.
Perhaps I should say 603-283-6160. Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
Well, I was trying to say that if he was actually a killer and he had the bodies at his place, he'd be into cannibalism.
Like Dahmer?
I've got the body of a 17-year-old. I keep her in the basement.
Wah, wah.
Well, hey, we don't make a lot of money, but we do have a lot of fun, don't we?
Yeah.
You had fun with Annie Oakley? What?
It's not just any old Oakley.
Annie, are you Oakley? Are you Oakley? Are you Oakley, Annie?
Annie, get your gun.
You remember Annie Oakley?
Annie Gun?
You're
Or
really giving away your fucking age.
I don't remember Annie Oakley, but like.
How about Raggedy Annie Oakley?
I even remember Mae West. She came up with some great lines.
She Mae West as much as she likes.
I remember Mae.
Madam, are you attempting to display contempt for this court? No, Your Honor. I'm attempting to conceal it.
That is a truly fantastic
Hey, weren't
line.
the Raggedy Ann and the Angie dolls, weren't there one of those originally anatomically correct dolls when they first came out?
I don't think so, but Raggedy Ann and Andy were actually designed by a woman whose children were killed by a vaccine, I believe.
Wow.
You believe or you're certain of? Because that's
I have
amazing
heard that.
if true. That's amazing.
If only
I've
there
heard
were a
that
device.
too. Now I have to ask the interweb.
Ask the magic rectangle, nobody.
I will.
If you'll excuse me, I'm going to stare into this black mirror, and it will give me the answers.
While they're consulting the oracle or the obstacle, depending on how much trouble they run into. What were we talking about?
Well, there are two things that a stoner can never tell you the answer to.
What were we just talking
about? And where's
what
the
are you guys
light?
looking up?
Raggedy Ann and Andy, whether or not they're
my experience with
a
Raggedy Ann and
vaccine
Andy
death
is very short. It consists of there was a set of bunk beds. I was on the top bunk. My sister was on the bottom bunk, and my sister had a Raggedy Ann doll. And I had sort of taken it away from her, and I was trying to reach down from the top bunk and hit her in the face with it as many times as I could, and she was getting upset. And she finally grabbed a hold of it as well, and then it became a game of tug of war. And you'll never guess what happened.
Oh!
Yeah, we split that bitch in two, man. Like, Annie became stuffing free, and bits over here, arm over there. We destroyed Raggedy Ann.
So the exact details of the origins of the Raggedy Ann doll and related stories, which were created by Johnny Gruel, are not specifically known, although numerous myths and legends about the doll's origins have been widely repeated. So, sounds like an urban legend to me.
Myths and
Yeah,
legends.
according to Snopes, which I don't generally trust Snopes that much, but they claim that the patent was filed before the daughter died.
Well, there you go.
But otherwise, the rest is true. She did design them after her kids.
I believe so.
Huh. Okay.
Well, that's the problem. The exact origin is not known, but many legends have cropped up.
What makes them raggedy specifically? I don't remember them being.
Oh, they were literally made out of rags.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That is
cloth
what made them
dolls.
raggedy. Yeah. It's like, have you seen like the people who take like burlap sacks that have like actual writing and stuff on them, and then like tailor them into like well-fitted dresses for women and that kind of thing?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And let's see here.
Do. You mean do?
Perhaps maybe if the dolls were made of wood,
So, weirdly enough,
they
like
would have lasted longer.
Well, like Pinocchio?
So, like, I know ragdolls were a really common thing during the Depression.
Yeah.
But Raggedy Ann and Andy came along before the Depression.
Did they cause the Depression? Finally, we know the cause of the Depression. It was not...
And immediately through my head, a Minion-style conspiracy.
It was not government. It was these two dolls.
And
they
were trying to propagate themselves throughout the world.
Impropagate themselves.
A wooden doll would put up with a good fight.
With a rag doll? I think the wooden doll would probably win. Or at least,
yeah.
Come on.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm saying that a wooden doll would certainly put up
And now I'm trying
fight.
to figure out how to build a doll out of bricks.
A brick doll. Hey, Rob, stay right there. Stay right there. Beard Talk Live, who the fuck is this? I don't hear you.
Have I reached the party to whom I am speaking?
Oh, it's the Major again.
Let me complete your call.
He dropped off, but now he's back.
Ah.
Major, what are you doing back?
Like a bad penny.
Hey, I'm shiny side up every fucking day, buddy.
You know, I've heard this described, but I've never had that phrase comes from like a single penny that just finds its way back to you over and over again. You can like tell it's that penny from a notch that's in it or something like that. I've never had that happen to me.
You have to have at least 2 hay pennies
To
for
have,
the boy
to have a hoe penny.
that you'll not be able to cross the great fucking water.
Oh, I meant a hoe named Penny.
Oh.
Well,
Penny.
You might be a hoe named Penny.
2 hay pennies.
Deho Gracie
will get you a hoe penny. Depending on how the economy is.
So what exactly is the distinction between a hay penny and a straw penny?
I don't know.
Is there a straw penny?
Hay penny is a half a penny. I don't know what a straw penny is.
I've never heard of a straw penny before that I can remember. Man.
Back in
It must be like a straw pole.
A man's pay was 1/10 of an ounce of silver for a common laborer. That would equate to 10 1-cent pieces of copper. And therefore you had to break that down to a hay penny and lesser to buy a loaf of bread or, a gallon of milk or whatever.
Huh.
Because, 1/10 of an ounce of silver was the standard wage forever until fiat money was created. A 1/4 ounce of silver or 1/2 ounce of silver would be like somebody that was foreman or, a little bit hierarchy. It's copper was the currency of the common man.
Mm-hmm.
Silver was the currency of the noble,
Okay.
and gold was the currency of kings.
Yep. I mean, gold was usually exchanged for like a building or a factory or a spot of land or something like that, large purchases. Whereas to cut it down small enough to, buy a dozen eggs, you can't do it.
Yeah, that's a hay penny. Well, then maybe that's a straw penny is a half a hay penny then.
So do you know why they're in the order they're in though?
No, sir, I do not.
So it's something that's technically called the stock to flow ratio, but it basically just means how hard it is to get the thing. I mean, technically, it's how much exists compared to how much is getting added to how much exists. But so it's a lot harder to get gold than it is to get copper out of the ground. But it's harder to get silver than it is to get copper, but not as hard as to get gold. So that was why they had the denominations that they had.
Well, there's reasons that metals have been valuable.
Because metal rules, man.
It's true.
No, silver retards.
I'm a dork, man.
Silver vessels were very valuable on ship because they retard the food's spoiling.
I don't know what the fuck you just said, Major, but you get points for using shit and retard in like the same like 4-letter phrase or 4-word phrase.
All of the noble metals actually are antibiotics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like Maiden.
There's nothing noble about that metal.
Judas Priest, Man of War. Those guys are all noble metal.
But no, so for example, if you want to make your milk last longer, you can take a silver ounce and drop it into the gallon jug, and it will last longer.
How much longer?
Like twice as long.
It'll last 2 fucking weeks longer, dude.
Yep.
Wow.
Just throwing a silver quarter into your milk jug.
But then you got to remember to take the silver out when you finish off the milk and don't throw it away.
Oh,
that's why it lasts longer. You don't want to drink it.
If I drink it, I might throw away the silver.
Yes.
You know what? If you're stupid enough to swallow a nickel, then you might do it 5 times and shit out a quarter. But that's your own dumbass fault right there, ain't it?
That's true. You go around swallowing chunks of silver, you get what coming to you. And it's blue skin.
Blue skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you seen
That's
that?
only colloidal silver.
Yeah.
Colloidal.
Yeah, if you drink too much colloidal silver, it turns your skin blue.
I have heard of this. I've never seen it.
I've seen it. It is bizarre.
Do you go and join the Blue Man Group at that point?
Well, if you did, you wouldn't need the makeup.
Well, nickel's magic too, boys, as well as copper. You know that an old copper penny now is worth 3 cents?
You mean it takes 3 cents to make? Yeah.
No, the value. You cannot buy number 1 copper anymore in piping or anything else. And that's what the old coins were made of. They're worth 3 cents a piece.
Oh, back when a penny was made out of copper?
Yeah. And back in the day, a real old fucking nickel is worth 7 cents. And nickel steel is very valuable.
Well, and what's funny?
Used to make Winchesters with nickel steel, and you could throw that damn thing into the bush.
Well, you know how a penny now buys.
Hardly rusted.
Hang on, Major.
Well, you know how a quarter now buys you what a penny used to? Major?
Yeah. He's still there.
Oh, a quarter ounce now buys what a penny used to?
No, a quarter 25 cents.
What?
No, just a quarter, like a $quarter.
Buys you what now?
What a penny used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, what's funny about that is that's about the right amount of copper. Because your penny is not made out of copper anymore. It's just got copper on the outside. Whereas your quarter is now mostly made out of copper.
I've been making the joke that 20 is the new 5 for at least 15, maybe 20 years. And, it's actually true. Like, when I started making the joke, it was probably not true. Now, it's totally true.
Yeah, it used to be hyperbole.
Yeah.
And you will see the day where it's not worth that much.
Yeah.
I'm going to give all you guys a test you can do at home. Take a new penny and an old penny. And you can tell the difference. Just an old penny looks like the bar you walked into that was old school, right? The logs are dark.
Yeah.
The new penny, always bright and shiny. Now you take that, one of each, and drop them on a hard surface, and you can hear the difference.
Mm-hmm.
I've cut them in half. They're aluminum on the inside.
Zinc.
Yeah, it's zinc.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's that much. I don't even think they're spending that much.
How much do you think they're spending?
No. Yeah, I think they're just aluminum discs coated with copper.
What do you think they're?
Aluminum discs coated with copper.
Aluminum discs coated with copper.
Well, they're zinc.
But they're zinc.
Well, Mike could be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time.
Major, you just stay right there for a minute. We're going to zinc about it. We're going to have ourselves a zinc. I'm going to attempt to do a thing, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it or not.
Canadian pennies, apparently, 2008, were 94% steel, 1.5% nickel, and 4.5% copper.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
America only did steel pennies during World War II.
Steel pennies during World War II. This isn't the right way I wanted to do this either.
Okay, but American pennies are 97.5% zinc, 2.5% copper, copper plated, inclusive of bicentennial 2009 cent and United States cent.
Mm-hmm.
Or United Shield cent.
Yep. Whereas the quarters are made out of copper now. So it's funny, like the power of the penny has moved to the quarter.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, hey, nobody, we're gonna take a little bit of a break. Take a 10, and
okay,
smoke if you got 'em.
Good plan.
We'll come back in about 10 minutes or so. I will, however, leave this going on, and I'm gonna play a little bit of something for our audience while they're waiting. We'll be back sometime pretty soon, probably about 10 minutes or so. I'll play you a little jam from one of my favorite bands, Snarky Puppy. You are currently caller number 47. Beard Talk Live. We're back in action. Coming at you. It's like a sneeze, except different. We're coming at you. Coming at you. I don't, yeah. What am I saying?
Coming at you.
Who are you? What's going on?
Did you ever hear the rumor that a sneeze was 1/10 of an orgasm?
No, but I did see some sort of a speed experiment on the rate at which a sneeze exits your face. And I thought that was pretty interesting because it's fast. It's like if anything else came out of you at that velocity, it would probably pierce whatever was in front of it, you know. Just the sheer velocity of it was formidable, to say the least.
Oh, you're trying to literally blow a disease out of your body, so...
Well, yeah, that's true.
But that's not supposed to be there.
What's that? Oh my god. I'm not sure what's going on. Oh, that's what's supposed to be going on. All right, no, that's fine. So if that's true, then how come the hypotenuse of... No, that's not it. Is it this one?
Mumbling technicalities, mumbling technicalities.
I'm doing something incorrect. Oh, look, and just as he appears in his seat, I get it right.
Screen foo.
I get it right. All right. One of these days, I'm going to learn these dance maneuvers, and it'll just all sort of, be way smoother than it just was. Nobody with us? Oh, wait, no, nobody Nobody needs to be here. Nobody?
Nobody's here.
Hey.
And I hear nobody.
I knew nobody wasn't here or was here because nobody wasn't here and then nobody was here.
Nobody, you've seen Spaceballs. You've seen Spaceballs.
Oh, yeah.
That movie was awesome.
It's a good movie. There's another one I was thinking of recently. It was sort of the Spaceballs variety, just not nearly as successful or funny. Probably not, for that reason. But still,
not
it
as
was
funny. Somehow not a success.
Ice Pirates. It was like a '80s thing,
huh.
And I just remember there was this character, a creature character in there, and in the commercial for the movie, he just grabbed a booger out of his nose and it stretched out of his nose. The big slime just sort of stretched, and I was like, okay, I need to see this movie. I was enthralled with the alien creature monsters giant slime booger.
You may have been just the demographic they were aiming at with that.
I may have been 12. Well, I'm still 12 in, the respect of most of my humor. But.
Well, then you're still the demographic they're aiming at. If ever you happen to see a commercial about a movie and they have sort of a Nickelodeon gack snot pull.
That is, wow, a Nickelodeon gack snot pull?
Mm-hmm.
You can't say that twice without stumbling, I think.
Nickelodeon gap snot. You're
See?
right.
Yeah.
Can't even say it one time, for fuck's sake. 603-283-6160. My attempt to hold our previous 3 or 4 callers hostage on the phone lines has resulted in no success. So we did take a break and listen to some kick-ass music that was snarky puppy, for those of you who enjoyed that.
Yeah, so earlier you were saying that the way that you learned guitar doesn't really allow for jamming as such.
Right, because I never really learned to play guitar. I play guitar. It's one of those things like I was talking about. I just was like, you know what, I'm going to play guitar in a heavy metal band. And so I just found some guys that, would allow me to sort of lead the band, and I just wrote riffs and allowed them to put riffs underneath my riffs, and then we sewed them together as songs. And so because I did that exclusively for 22, 25 years, something along those lines, that's the method of making music that I'm used to. So now when I get into a situation where there are musicians who actually know how to read music or, can tell you what the different scales and positions are on the fretboard. I don't know any of that, right? Here's what I know. Oh, that riff, yeah, it's based on the 8th fret on the 2nd string, right? I don't know that that's a D major and, what the scale is behind it. I don't know any of the music theory. Yet I was able to be in a heavy metal band for 20 plus years and put out several, CDs or whatever, that kind of stuff. So, I just sort of willed it to happen. And so that's kind of how I play guitar. I've never really been taught, how. I just moved my fingers upon the guitar and saw other people do it enough that I was like, oh, if I just imitate that, then I'll be able to play. So I did take 6 guitar lessons when I was 16 years old, 15, just before I turned 16. And they resulted in nothing because the dude wanted to teach me how to read music, and I wanted to jam, damn it. So, yeah, I went that way.
Yeah, I've only had a couple of guitar lessons, but I really think he did it the right way. He just showed me some really simple music and showed me how to do exactly what you described. Just put your fingers on the thing and make those sounds. And that's the thing. It wasn't about reading the music. It wasn't about, because I get how it's useful to turn this into a written language, but that is not the creative process of music. It's not I mean, obviously you can do it that way because there are AIs that make music now, which given how mathematical it is, that kind of makes a certain kind of sense. But the kind of music that is going to be new and is going to move people and stir them emotionally is not created by math. It's not created by writing it down. Writing it down is what you need to recreate the thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's something that you play with. It's something that surprises you.
Well, and to me, like the experience, what I described to you, the method in which I invent songs, particularly with other people and being in a band, which is write some riffs, get some guys to put some riffs, with your riffs, and then it's a very tribal experience. So I don't want to downplay it. While it is very simple in its philosophy, it is one of the most enjoyable things I have ever done with my life, was to do exactly that. It's one of my favorite things to do, is to write new riffs and then arrange them into songs. Here's the intro. Oh, we need a riff to go with that riff. Or no, this riff's too long. We can only do it 2 times instead of 4 this one time through. But then we got to have a new breakdown to go in here. And you just start sewing these other riffs together, and that's how a song is born. Sometimes you can do where you invent words first. You do the lyrics, right? You write a poem, and then as you're reading the poem for the couple 100,000th time or whatever since you've written it, like a riff will pop into my head. Like I'm channeling it, right? Like I'll just hear it or whatever.
Well, no, that
right?
that halfway point where you put the rhythm to the words, but don't have any melody to it is what slam poetry is like.
Mm-hmm.
Where like the melody is just sort of a familiar talking cadence usually, but the artistry of most people's delivery in that is what rhythm they put on the words to give it a different emphasis.
You remember so I married an axe murderer?
Oh yeah. Mike Myers.
Woman. Whoa, man.
Whoa, man. Nice. So yeah, tribal experience is the way. Some people say, no, you're communing with the spirits, right? Like I was in the Seattle area, a bunch of hippies, right? So like, oh yeah, you're making it's being channeled through you, and so you're communing with the spirits, and they're actually writing the music. You're just the conduit, and okay, whatever. While that sounds like an accurate description from their perspective, like it is kind of the experience. Like I won't say it's a religious experience, but it's almost a ceremony, right? You and these same guys get together, you lock yourselves in a room with some loud instruments, and you just kind of go,
Well, I mean, so the idea of communing with the spirits, as they would put it. So you're definitely tapping into something.
Yeah.
That much is certainly true. And I would say that at least part of that is like your ancestors. I mean, the fact is that we are the descendants of organism after organism after organism that had a sense of rhythm. And humans in particular, like, wow, art is just so human. So that's just been encoded in us.
Is there another species that does art?
Yes. Like that makes things pretty for the purpose of making them pretty. I mean,
who? What species?
Birds.
Birds?
Yeah.
Birds decorate?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I forget what it's called, but there's this one bird that like the way that it builds its nest is not only beautiful, but it creates an optical illusion of it being bigger on the inside.
It's got a TARDIS for a nest.
Yes.
Showing my nerd down here.
But an art TARDIS. An artist, if you will. But seriously, they design it so that, and I've seen the like the camera pan down, like you see it from this angle. It's like, oh, it's decorated. Then it pans down to
that's an organism
to level view, and it's like, holy shit, it is bigger on the inside.
But that's an organism building a thing. But is it the same as expressing an emotion, right? Or at least people interpreting it as such, right? Because like a bird can build a very beautiful nest and multifunctional and all that kind of thing. Did the bird build it out of sheer desire to just, make something creative and express their feelings? Or did they build it because, well, that's how they build their nests and it's good camouflage? Right, so there's a practical purpose to the thing.
You could argue that the practical purpose is the same. So the bird that builds that nest to impress a mate to mate. Now, you can just as easily argue, though, that the origin of human art is also to impress our mates and to show our fitness for reproduction.
I think art comes from somewhere else. Like that is a result of being good at art. right? You might get laid more often if you're particularly good at your form of art.
Well,
because chicks dig artists for some reason.
So
and giant robots.
Oh wait, like I could become a
Chicks
giant
dig
robot.
Giant robots, you dig giant robots. I dig giant robots.
Nobody doing his Iron Man impression.
So, I mean, your definition may vary on this one, but I see
Like
something
humans do
about
art for the sake of art.
So I think that art is part of our processing. Like, I think that a part of how human beings apprehend ideas, like before we can even start to move them into words, we have to experience them in very vague shapes, like dreams and art. And art is like the furthest out form of processing an idea, of starting to comprehend and cope with this thing and turn it into a tool that we can actually use.
I mean, it's been my experience that generally the more talented a person is, the larger the trauma that they've had. And when it comes to like art talent, right? So
frequently is the case.
That can be an opinion too, because one person might look at some art somebody did and be like, this sucks. And somebody else might be like, that's beautiful. So, art is subjective in that respect. But I will say that the majority of the people that I've met that say they're artists are also survivors of some sort of a trauma. The phrase is, and if it's not true, let me know.
Do you know anybody who hasn't survived trauma?
There is that.
Well, yeah. I guess I'm thinking specifically childhood stuff, right?
I
like
do see what
abuse.
you're saying there, and it just occurred to me that like that would be when art would be the most useful. Like if you aren't encountering trauma, then you don't really need to immediately invest a bunch of energy in like reaching the most far out idea and bringing that a little bit closer so that maybe we can make something out of it. Like if you're not encountering trauma, you really don't need to be investing your energy in that kind of an exploration. But it's when you're starting to get hurt that you're like, okay, I need a new tool.
Nobody
new drug.
Nobody, do you do art? I know you do computer programming. Do you do art?
No, I'm completely devoid of artistic talent apart from coding.
Well, there is an art to the language there.
There is.
It's true. I've done so many different types of art. Have you ever done stipple? S-T-A-P-P-L-E?
Mm-hmm.
It's just you take a pen and you just dot dot dot. It's like your hand is a dot matrix printer, and you try and make a picture. Like you envision it on the paper and you use your pointillism. Yeah. I once did like a whole. It was like a giant motorcycle, just in stipple on I don't know, a legal size sheet of paper. No, bigger than that, poster size sheet of paper. And I was surprised. I was like, actually, it looks pretty good. Like.
Right.
I got that one right.
No, I have a buddy down in San Antonio does the most phenomenal stipple I have ever seen. Like, holy shit, the textures that he puts into these things, absolutely mind-blowing.
It's one of the things I keep coming back to regarding, like, we've been talking about music as a language, right? We've been talking about art as a language, right? Communication of emotion. If that's true, then, and I've said this before on this show, to me, cryptocurrency is the communication of value. I mean, money generally is the communication of value, but cryptocurrency is the first time it's free of coercion.
Yeah.
And in that respect, it reminds me of music, right? Because music only has value if you think it has value.
Well, there was a time when it was free of coercion, actually. I mean, gold and silver didn't have to be forced on anyone. Like, weirdly enough, being forced to use money is a bizarre and new and highly experimental idea. I mean, especially like in terms of the entire globe being simultaneously on fiat currency. Like that's never ever happened before. Like money used to be just, oh, hey, this sells very well. so I'm going to have that because it's convenient and sells well. Gold, silver, people like shiny shit.
Yeah.
And it helps that, like, this shiny shit keeps us not dead.
That's why I always polish my shit.
Because you can, in fact, shine a turd.
One of the EPs that one of the bands I was in made, because it was poorly recorded, and we put it out on cassette, even though it was the CD, past the CD era, getting into the early MP3 era.
Mm-hmm.
We called it Polished Turds because, it's kind of what it was.
But yeah, it always used to be something that was free of coercion. We didn't have to force people to take these things.
Well, trading in like trading in things, right? Trading in even precious metals, jewels, right? Easily portable stuff, right? That makes a lot of sense, especially if they're rare because they're more valuable. But it's always, I don't remember. There's the name of this problem. It's the problem of how many chickens equal a cow. Whatever. There's a name for that problem in economics.
Yeah.
But the solution to that, solution to that, of course, was currency, right? And currency isn't exclusive to human beings. Primates also engage in some currency things themselves.
Human beings are primates, for the record.
That is true. Other primates than humans.
Depends on your definition. Some dictionaries specifically define it as non-human ape, I think. But anyway.
Interesting. There's a war on.
So something that just dawned on me about this, though, is that money is actually the universal language.
I mean, art is the universal language.
Well, no, think about it for a second, though. I mean, the universal language of value is money. Because the fact that you can reliably go anywhere at any time and say, here's some shiny metal, and be relatively sure that someone there is going to go, ooh, I like that shiny metal. Here's a thing.
Right. So it's the expression of value.
And the moneyer it is, the more universal of a language of value it is.
Communicating value, revolutionized humanity.
Yeah.
Right. And then the accounting system, what do they call it? It's the white stripe and the green stripe and the white stripe and the green stripe. It's everybody's seen these ledger books, right? Accountants before computers, accountants used to use these giant books filled with lined paper, and every other line was colored green and every other line was colored white, and in them they would put numbers and stuff. It was kind of like an Excel spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. But there was a system they had to keep track of all of the funds and all of the income and the outgo and they called it a double entry system, right? And so it was its own checks and balances, and that particular invention, that double whatever the hell it was that I just said,
double entry bookkeeping,
revolutionized humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you go look through history, like that particular thing allowed for things that humans never had before. And so cryptocurrency is just somebody improving that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally. I mean, it's not the only thing, but that's sort of the basis. If you can understand what a ledger is in accounting,
it is fair to say
you've got most of Bitcoin. You understand most of it already.
I mean, it is fair to say that the revolution of Bitcoin itself is the third entry of triple entry bookkeeping.
Right.
And the problems that we were running into before were, well, if I make this third entry, what about this problem? What about this? Basically, the Byzantine generals problem.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, we're at this impasse, and that's why we can't have a third entry in our bookkeeping. And then, oh, well, it turns out if you have a variable difficulty mechanism and you run it through this hash algorithm, boom. Now you have a permanent record of time and activity.
Right. And so what they've done is they've taken the language of accounting, right, numbers, code, if you will, nobody. They've taken this and made it, gave it the feature of eliminating the need for third-party trust. So if you and I want to do a transaction and trade and express that value to each other, we come to terms on a price of that value, and I send that value directly to you. You accept it, and that is all. No third party involved, right? We didn't have to put it into escrow for a while and wait like we could have if we were doing a business transaction. Like, that's totally possible for us to do that. But, you can cut through the mustard, just pay someone directly, bypassing all the bureaucracy that ever existed.
Yeah. And because of that,
with no trust involved.
Yeah, and because of that, I can literally have my wallet in my mind.
That's true.
Like, it has transcended the physical boundaries. That is just unbelievable.
Yeah, you can memorize some keys and,
And all of the stuff that we've, relied on the government to keep records of, and relied on the government to give the validation to the educational system that will train people to have the license of all of these things. No, just gone. We've replaced you. All of your record keeping is inferior to our current technology.
What's the next thing that will be invented? Like, I think that the blockchain technology and internet technology are on the precipice of coming together in a way that, like, we can't predict, right? Like, the guy who invented the Telegram, right?
I think the next killer app is probably, at my best guess, the next killer app from the blockchain technology and all of that is, so what they have currently developed for NFTs will just be applied to deeds of ownership.
Okay. And that'll be your title, right?
Yeah.
Your title to your car will be an NFT. Your title to your house be an NFT.
Yeah, exactly. And then once you've got that system in place, it's an easy jump to just making entire contracts.
Yeah.
Okay, well, when this contract is done, we sent this, and here's the hash for every letter in this contract. So now if I want to prove that you and I have this contract, I have to get every letter correct.
Right.
But if I do, then it is absolutely certain that we had this contract. Because here's the proof on the blockchain. This exact hash went through from you to me and from me to you.
Yep.
Okay, here, and the chances are literally impossible in any practical sense to get any other interpretable contract that has the same hash.
And that's exciting to me because what it means is you're replacing one very specific portion of bureaucracy, and that is official record keeping.
Right.
Once that is proven to be, it's already proven to be able to be replaced, but once that actually starts, like Craigslist eliminated newspapers, like once that starts happening and little pieces of bureaucracy start getting absorbed by this anarchic infrastructure that nobody's ever seen the likes of before, that to me is one of the most exciting things, because you no longer have to rely on these giant war machines and their fucking lackeys to tell you who owns what or who agreed to what.
And so, fun fact, most of the things that we usually refer to as lawyers are not lawyers. They are attorneys. Now, you'll notice the word turn in the middle of there, and that's exactly what they do.
Torn?
They turn from this to that, which is all just keeping a record of this property is moving from this person to this person. That's their whole job.
Yeah.
That's their whole fucking game is, I know the special secret dance that you have to do in our monopoly in order to keep these records as these records. And we can just skip them out entirely.
Yep.
Like all of these things that we need attorneys for, we can just do ourselves.
Man, it's bizarre for me to think that in the same way Craigslist, killed the newspaper, that there's a technology that can kill bureaucracy. It can eat. It's coming for your bureaucracy.
It is coming for your bureaucracy. So I will, give the devil his due. The SEC chair that when he's like, these are securities, he's not 100% wrong. They do operate as a perfect vehicle for a security.
Yes.
They do.
But they themselves are not.
But a security includes the ownership of a business,
right?
Which they do not.
Right. It's like, but they act like stocks. You're right. As an accidental side effect.
Right, yeah.
As an accidental side effect, we replicated like your entire fucking stock system. Oops. Mm-hmm. We didn't mean to replicate your stock system. We were kind of trying to avoid that. But by the way, all of the advantages of that technology are also part of our system now. Right. And if you want to sorry, go ahead.
The thing that you would have to add would be blockchain voting. So that basically if you could place a vote for every coin or fraction of a coin that you own, then you would definitely be able to create and run a corporation on the internet, except that corporation would not be a separate person.
Right.
Right.
And that's the thing. You could, certainly load a corporation onto a coin, and it would massively increase the efficiency of the stock system. And this is a byproduct. This is an accidental spill. This is a goof that we accidentally copied all of your technology.
And I'll play devil's advocate for just a second. Is this, next step of marriage of, AI, bureaucracy, and cryptography, cryptocurrency, blockchain technology? Are we creating our own, demise? Are we creating Skynet, if you will, from the Terminator movies?
I don't see how.
It could be a component, okay? If you had an AI and that AI was able to figure out how to get a cryptocurrency wallet, that would certainly increase its ability because it could use email to hire a lawyer, for example, and then use cryptocurrency to pay that lawyer.
Non-humans for the first time can communicate value to humans.
But
that sounds like an advantage to me.
The infrastructure exists through which they could, but as far as we know, there is no actual intelligence out there to use that technology that is not human.
But even if there were, this would be a benefit. Like this would encourage our first interaction with such a being to be peaceful. Because that's what the market brings, is peace.
All right, so we know humans are not the most intelligent being on planet Earth, right? I'm told dolphins are more intelligent than humans.
I don't buy it.
I don't know if that's true or not, but let's show them how to use a cryptocurrency wallet. See what happens.
I'm game.
Anyone want to teach a dolphin how to use an Edge wallet or something?
As far as I can tell, they don't have the ability to think abstractly.
Yeah, but they can think mathematically.
I don't know. I always remember Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where it said that humans thought they were more intelligent than dolphins because dolphins hadn't developed homeowners associations and digital watches, and dolphins thought they were more intelligent than humans for much the same reasons.
Yeah.
That's well said.
Yeah, and the most intelligent being cleverly disguised as mice.
Oh. What was that story about the smart... the Rats of Nim. Disney made a movie about it called something Nim. The full title was something like Mrs. Brisby and the Rats of Nim.
Mrs. Frisbee.
Well, there were two different versions, right? But you're right. Frisbee was the first. There was some copyright thing involved with one of the publishings, and so they called it Brisby instead of Frisbee.
Really?
Yeah. It's not the what is it? The something effect.
Mandela.
Mandela.
Yeah, thank you. It's not the Berenstein Bears, Frisbee versus Brisbee. There's actually two versions of it.
Wait, where I come from, it's called the Berenstein Bear effect.
The the Barbara Streisand effect. What?
I do always wonder about that one. Like, are we just slipping from like almost the same dimension to almost the same dimension all the time, and no one really noticed it? Because if they were that different, then you wouldn't be slipping in the first place.
Wow.
It's definitely possible.
Just an idle thought. Don't mind me.
Let's ask the science.
Well, I mean, this
douchebag.
idea of multiple universes came from quantum physicists.
Is the plural of universe universi?
No.
Universities?
Universes, yeah.
Universes?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound quite as fulfilling.
You can say universities if you feel like it.
Yeah, that's all right.
Multiverse?
Multiverse, yep, that's good. That's already permeated all of the science fiction. Multiverse.
Yep.
It's weird though how like every time I see a science fiction thing now, like the multiverse is involved.
Yeah.
Like there's just been maybe it's just me, but like I try watching things because like maybe it only got rated a 5 or a 4.5. But if it looks like some money was spent on it, I'll watch it, see if it's any good. And occasionally you get a gem, but more often than not you don't. But like, so I'm trying to watch these movies and striking out, but like they're all like, I'm like, really, another multiverse movie? Like seems to be like the current trend in science fiction movies.
Yeah, I have a very, very unpopular opinion on that one. So I do believe in multiple universes, but not infinite multiple universes.
Well, how do you know how many there are?
Well, I just figured...
Well, you look at the central finite curve.
Okay, thanks, Rick.
Yep.
Well, so I just figured that in every dimension...
Did you not recognize that, Captain?
No.
The central finite curve is the set of universes in the multiverse in which Rick is the smartest person.
Oh, we're talking Rick and Morty. I've never seen an episode.
Seriously?
Oh, my God, what's wrong with you?
It is,
come over.
It is really clever.
I sort of stopped watching like new cartoons. And so like South Park I still watch because, well, I love South Park. But
all right.
like I don't really watch a lot of and it's going to sound weird to you, new cartoons. And while Rick and Morty's been around for a minute, at one point it was new and I was alive and I was like, nope, not going to start watching that one.
Wow.
Okay, you're no longer 12.
But I am.
No, no,
I am.
No, the day a man no longer watches cartoons.
No. See, because
is the day he is grown up.
I'm a bit well. That's what I'm saying. I'm a bit older, and so like that was like a thing, and so you stopped watching cartoons when you were like when you got into girls or whatever, right? You went through puberty or whatever, and you're like, oh, there's this whole other world out there. Well, one of these time wasters has to go, and so I stopped watching cartoons, and that still remains in place today. No, not always, but sometimes. There's old cartoons. I still like The Simpsons, but like I haven't watched The Simpsons in years.
It went downhill.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't be around that long and
that's true.
Continue. But although South Park's given it a good run.
Yeah.
South Park has gone downhill more than once.
Yeah, from time to time.
In some cases, it's come back though.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Usually when things go downhill, they don't come back uphill, gravity being what it is.
I know nothing about the creators of South Park, but, perhaps they, quit smoking weed for a minute, and then they were like, wait a minute. We got to smoke weed to make this show.
I was a fan of the diapers that they put on people's heads for the COVID episode. That warmed the cockles of my heart.
Yeah. I hear that.
Especially after they go back and forth on the whole agenda that's taking control of the federal government at this point.
The agenda?
Yeah, the whole PC on steroids thing. The woke and the
woken.
Yeah, I mean, the fundamental shift that they're trying to do in what our society is constructed of, what the fundamental assumptions that we operate on are.
Okay. What would you say that shift is?
Okay, well, so for example, instead of going, hey, so there's male and there's female, and then there are these other things that are variations on that theme. It's no, there's gender is a construct, and also there's 72 genders. Like, so that just blows apart the framework instead of building on it.
Oh, I see.
Wow. See, I guess it doesn't to me, but to me it just changed. It's just a different way to use words. You know,
yes, we know.
I don't know. It doesn't. Whether you want to say that it's a gender or just a type, that's more or less the same thing, you know. And gender, as a matter of fact, has a more general meaning, which is type. Okay, so that, for example, the king in Hamlet, when he's talking about why he can't just have Hamlet murdered as he becomes a problem, says he is beloved of the general gender, which is the common people. So to me, it's just a matter of different groups of people using words differently, which is fine, but then each insisting that their usage of the words is the only allowable use of the words, so which is problematic.
Well, so here's the thing.
It's like if you said somebody was gay, and they said, well, gay means happy. And you said, well, gay also means homosexual. And they said, no, it can't mean that. Gay means happy.
Well, they've established a boundary in their use of the language. And I can either agree to that boundary or disagree to that boundary. Now, I will say that, okay, so as types, all right, so what you're doing here is you're building up like a categorical framework, right? Because, okay, gender means a type of a thing. Okay, now, if you start out with, okay, so there's masculine type and feminine type, and then from that basic framework, you build all of these extra complications, then you actually have a structure that is organic. As compared to if you just wipe the slate clean and say, have at, and just like throw paint all over the canvas, you're not building any kind of a structure that way. And if you don't have structure to your thoughts, then you can't think in an ordered way.
Can different people structure their thoughts differently?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And can both of those structures be valid?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody's nodding. The nod of
acknowledgement.
acknowledgement.
Well, yeah, it's like we were talking about off air a little earlier. One of the things that bothers you is how there's always two choices.
It seems mankind is very want to boil things down to just two choices, except for certain things. Like, sure, there's like Coke and Pepsi. Those are the two most popular brands. But there's Dr. Pepper, right? You know, I mean, there's other, RC Cola. There's other brands. I mean, there's thousands of different kinds of carbonated beverage soft drinks, right, if you want to call them that. But for whatever reason, Coke or Pepsi. And like some places in the United States, you go into a restaurant or something, and you're like, yeah, what kind of Coke do you have? And they're like, Coke, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, Sprite, right? They name off brands because they call all carbonated beverages Coke, right? But in other places, they're like, what do you mean? We do have Coke, we have Diet Coke, we have, but they don't know that you're asking for a different kind of beverage. So sometimes if you're used to saying, hey, I want a Coke, and they go, what kind? And you say, when sometimes you just go, hey, I want a Coke, and they go, okay. Like they've assumed what kind of Coke you want to have, right?
They assume the Coke you want is Coke.
Right, yeah. So it creates this weird dynamic for people who, cross into this other, we'll call it a subculture, or cross from one culture into a culture that does things a little bit differently. It's one of the things I encourage people to do is to do that. Get outside. Like if you were born in a certain area and you've never gotten outside of, I don't know, 50-mile radius or something, go and like spend other time around like other geographic areas. It doesn't even have to be that far. You could go a town away or 2 towns away or a city away or a state away and like spend time there, because there's going to be subtle differences in each of the cultures. Mankind is still really fucking tribal.
Yeah. So I've been thinking, and one of the...
Watch out, nobody. He's been thinking.
Yeah.
The idiosyncrasies of language develop in an evolutionary environment that is survival of the fittest. So there are little nuances of any given language that exist because that was what allowed people to function. So, and throughout human existence, it has been useful for us to say, okay, on average, in general, this kind of a person does this kind of a thing, and that kind of a person does the other kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have people who are trying to say, no, that is bad, people get defensive because this is something that has allowed us to survive, and with good reason. Like, if you get too confused, you will not reproduce. Like, if you expose a duckling to a ping pong ball, it will treat a ping pong ball like it is its mother.
Right.
And later, when it has gone through puberty, it will attempt to copulate with a ping pong ball. And if we eradicate the idea of gender, we will attempt to fornicate with ping pong balls.
I mean,
I've actually seen a stripper who did
and
that.
frankly, humans are so fucking complicated that you should be real careful when you want to make things more difficult when it comes to our social interactions, because it's a heavy price.
Yeah, it's true. And like,
I don't know. I mean, do you need to? Because the problem is, okay, the converse of making things more difficult is making them easier,
right?
Or the opposite. Not really the converse,
the inverse.
I guess. The inverse, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. So the problem is, if you make it easier and easier and easier to survive, then it will take less and less and less intelligence to survive. And Darwin, being as he is,
that doesn't track at all. So here's the thing.
As it gets easier to survive, the bar gets lower?
Well, so here's the thing, though. Reality is always changing. Like, there is no one environment. The environment is perpetually changing. And the thing is, like, while you are making it easier to survive, you are also changing your environment. And the thing is that these things stack, and it just goes faster and faster. So, like, the process of making it easy to live is also increasing the difficulty rating continuously. Because the more you change the environment to make it easy to exist, the more you change the environment, which means the more you have to change to suit the environment.
I think the network effect isn't done. Like, we've only begun to see the effects, the advancements that humankind is capable of inventing, because the network effect isn't done. It just continues to evolve. And that's, on some level, I like to believe that people who value freedom, Eleutheromaniacs, libertarians, anarchists, voluntarists, whatever you want to call them, is an evolution, not a byproduct of something else. I hope that it's humanity finally coming to grips with its own exception, right? Its own, I don't know, it's this bizarre, flip side universe, man, just because these folks are, in these positions, or, they have the badges, or they have the, certain documents that say who they are, what organization they're with, like they get to treat people differently than everybody else.
We should look at an old Star Trek and find out if Spock has a beard.
There was the alternate universe Spock had a giant
That's
goatee.
what I was referring
to. And older Spock had a beard.
And also, that's how you prove whether or not you've left the universe that you're in or not, is you just go watch that episode and see if regular Spock has the beard and alternate Spock does not, or does regular Spock not have a beard and alternate Spock does. Speaking of
how
weird,
much Spock would a Spock if a Spock?
Did you guys
Spock,
know that a box full of genetically modified mosquitoes successfully vaccinated a human against malaria in a trial funded by the NIH, National Institute of Health?
I am supremely ambivalent.
The study involved about 200 hungry mosquitoes biting a human subject's arm. Human participants placed their arms directly over a small box of the bloodsuckers. So this is a provable thing now. They figured out how to load up mosquitoes with a vaccine. Now I
am simultaneously for and against this.
Yeah. Now
because on the one hand, I think the only reasonable way that you're going to defeat malaria is you have to use its vectors. So I kind of like that idea. Like, if we can vaccinate people against malaria, that'd be great.
Right. I'm not saying it's not.
But dear God, this is also terrifying.
But yeah.
Yeah, it could also be used in all kinds of different biological warfare.
Oh, yeah.
Who gets to decide what vaccines are, uploaded into these mosquitoes?
Well, whoever's mosquitoes they are, of course. Which is just super villainy.
And if you
Straight
do this,
up super villainy.
I mean, I know we're all big proponents of the non-aggression principle. How do you defend yourself against? Let's say they've loaded a vaccine and you've looked into it. You're like, I don't want that in my body. Fuck this. Right? You should have the freedom to choose not to have it. How do you, outside of like spray yourself with some off, or some DDT, how do you prevent a bunch of mosquitoes
netting,
from getting okay? But for how long can you get away with that as a human being? Eventually, you're getting bit by some fucking mosquitoes.
Yeah, I mean, you can reduce mosquito bites with netting. You can't eliminate them.
So that in and of itself is just
bone-chillingly fucking terrifying.
Yeah. I heard about this and I was like, fuck, man.
Okay,
really?
Apparently we didn't have enough nuclear weapons. I got to make new, potential suicide of the species level weaponry.
Yeah, if you can use it
fucking great
for some sort of apparently good purpose, like I don't know,
curing malaria,
for example, or at least vaccinating against it,
right?
Effectively curing it, I would guess, if the vaccine does what it's supposed to, if it's even a vaccine at all.
Right.
This remains to be seen. But just the fact that they've successfully done this, not only have they successfully uploaded this vaccine into the mosquitoes, they've actually vaccinated a person who had to put their arm in this box of fucking mosquitoes and get bit like a couple hundred times.
And they got somebody to do that.
Yeah, and they're proud of it. They're like, yeah, check it out. Look what I did. I did this. Oh, it hurt for a little while, right? There's a bit of a story, but I don't want to talk about the story. I want to talk about our thoughts on it.
Yeah, that is just... So it reminds me of when I first found out about the gray goo hypothesis of nanobot technology.
The gray goo?
Yeah, the gray goo hypothesis
like
of nanobot technology.
The gray goo?
So the idea is that you've got these tiny robots that can make other tiny robots. And since they have to use material around them to do that, that if you made these things, that they would just turn everything on Earth into other little tiny robots, and there'd be no real way of stopping them. The gray goo hypothesis.
Right. Well, that's actually how microprocessors, microchips, became as small as they are today. because they just took some, somebody built the first microprocessor that was just something short of a macro processor, right?
Right.
And they're like, oh, it's a micro one. And then they used a bunch of those together to make even smaller ones. And then they used a bunch of those smaller ones together to make even smaller ones. And that's how microchips, kept reducing in size
right.
And building in capacity, because they just used the ones they had to make smaller ones.
And when you make smaller ones, you can make them out of less material, so you can charge less.
Right. It reminds me how
and also because the electricity travels at the speed of light, and although it's covering very short distances, if you cut the distance it has to travel in half, it can travel that distance in half the time.
And thus you get twice the processing power out of it.
Right.
Exactly.
It reminds me of how the micro SD cards sort of just grew ginormous in capacity. Not even a gig, right? To like 1 gig micro SD card was like, oh man, they got a gig, right? Wow.
Oh, I remember the first time. It's like a gigabyte.
Now, like micro SD cards.
What would you ever use that?
Micro SD cards are like multiple terabytes on the same little tiny fucking thing, man. And
I know,
you're like,
right?
Jesus fucking Christ, man. Like,
yeah. I remember when I, back in the day, I was on a BBS system called LunarNet, and they got their first drive that would hold a whole gigabyte. And we couldn't imagine what they'd use all that space for.
Yeah, I gotta say, the thing that really bugs me about the way that they keep technology moving, like, there reaches a point where you don't need to improve it, and they seem to keep wanting to do even more. And, like, no matter how good our technology gets, we always fill up all of the space. Like, no matter how big your hard drive is, they'll just change the technology so that it requires more hard drive space.
Right.
I agree and I disagree, because the thing is, software solves problems today that it could not have solved back in the day. And if you update, if our hardware was 10 times faster and had 10 times more capacity, again, we would start solving different and more difficult problems with it.
So what kind of problems is the new technology solving that? So like
apparently
video files,
curing
for example.
malaria for one with fucking mosquitoes.
But
somehow.
no, I mean like video files, like internet video files.
Yeah.
Like we've gotten an unbelievable increase in our ability to move information across,
right.
And yet somehow we are always capable of having lags on our internet videos. How the hell is that possible?
Much higher resolution. Now, of course,
why the hell are we doing that?
Because we want an increase.
Well, sometimes you don't need to, but and there does come a time when you get a what's the word I'm looking for? Decreasing return, because your eye only has so much resolution.
Right.
My point exactly.
But it's the result of competition, because there's many different video services providing many different niche market of their version of video services. And so they have to all compete with each other, otherwise they're irrelevant, right? Somebody's going to sign a contract with the other. So it's a bit of a race, if you will, to continue to out-invent the competition, to continue to innovate, right? That's what innovation is. It's just, and why businesses always talk about we got to continue to innovate. Innovation gives you the competitive edge. If your product does a little higher resolution than the other guy, and it's noticeable, right? Like people can tell, then you have the competitive edge.
I wonder about that part, honestly. Like, is this something that exists just because, 1080 is higher than 846 or whatever it is? Like, because they literally see a higher number, they buy the thing.
No, it's
I honestly wonder if it's that.
It's a discernible thing. Like I remember going from, just the plasma flat screen TV to the 1080, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is way better. To the LED even, right? I'm like, yeah, this is way better. And then I don't even own a 4K, but like I saw the 4K after that. I'm like, why does this look so like it's been filmed differently? Because it was that discernible to me. I was like, wow, that's amazing. So, like, I could discern the difference. Now, I'm also old. As a kid, I watched a shitty black and white TV with a busted antenna that I had to, like, duct tape some tinfoil to and some wiring and stuff. So, like, that's shitty TV, right? That over the air, sometimes the weather gets bad and you get a little extra static in the screen or that kind of a thing. So, like, to me, like, everything is amazing right now because I grew up with that, right? So people are like, oh, man, you haven't upgraded your TV. It's like, well, no, because it's still amazing to me because I remember the shitty black and white TV.
Yeah, that might be exactly my problem.
Remember your roots,
like,
man.
to me,
And
it's
the
still
thing is,
the picture
analog
quality is
also.
fine. Just make one that doesn't stop on me.
What's that, nobody?
Your eye is also analog, so that I don't know how much difference that makes.
Okay.
There's that.
So I don't. That is interesting, and it may somewhat contradict what I said earlier, because sometimes I do.
So here's a fun fact about the eye.
You've been taking lessons from the major, nobody?
Yeah.
So here's a fun fact about the eye. So have you ever heard of the two-slit experiment?
The what?
Okay, so the two-slit experiment.
Are these like twins? Are these hot chicks?
No.
Oh, that's the twin slut experiment. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
bad.
the difference.
My bad.
Watch your spelling with this.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
So the two-slit experiment. They have these two openings, and they fire a beam of light and record it on the other side, right? And
You're talking about firing electrons. You're talking about quantum mechanics. now.
It started out with light. Then they did it with electrons, and it turns out you can even do this thing with what they call buckyballs, which, like, if you imagine a soccer ball. I know. Buckyballs. They're Buckminster Fullerene.
In Wisconsin, the mascot for one of the colleges, his name is Bucky Badger. So now you're talking about Bucky Badger's balls.
Yeah.
So maybe not an object that large. Then again,
have you ever
they
seen
weren't
a badger's,
visible.
Have you ever seen a badger's balls? I don't think I have. I've seen some badgers, but they're usually running away. They are fierce creatures, though, man. Badgers, you don't want to get into a fight with one of them fucks, man. Holy fuck. Sorry.
Honey badger,
Especially
don't
a honey
give
badger.
fuck.
Any badger, don't give a fuck. Badgers will badger you. There's a reason they're called badgers, right?
Do you know about
That's
the honey
what
badger,
they do.
though?
They badger you. What?
Do you know about the honey badger, though?
The honey badger?
Yeah, the honey badger.
There's only one?
It's a particular species, and it is unbelievably terrifying. So,
Is there
for
a
one
way
thing,
for me to play a video? I want to play the honey badger video now.
There is, just not on the show.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can play a video right there on your computer, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, I know that I could also capture my screen and send the video to you, but I don't know if you would be able to then play it over the air. Actually, it would make more sense to play the video on the computer at the studio, I guess. But yeah, the honey badger, I highly recommend doing a search on YouTube for honey badgers, because there's a great video.
Yeah. So one of their primary diets is snake, especially the highly poisonous ones.
Honey badger eats snake?
Yeah. So honey badgers are immune to small arms fire. So that's fun. Seriously.
Like the tortoise? Or
What does that mean, to be immune to small arms fire?
Okay, so you can take a 9mm pistol and shoot a honey badger, and you will just piss it off.
Do bullets bounce off? Nothing is immune to having holes in it.
No, it's their skin is designed in such a way that will not be a strong enough impact to pierce their skin. And they have a whole bunch of extra skin, so in case something like bites them, they can swing around and eat its eyes.
Eat its eyes?
Yes.
That's gotta hurt.
Yeah.
Like, oh man.
Don't fuck with a honey badger.
I don't even know, man. That sounds horrifying. Like
It is. Yeah. It is. So here's a fun fact. A cheetah's young is disguised as a honey badger so that no one will eat them until they're big enough to go hunting. That is how terrifying honey badgers are. Cheetahs disguise their young as honey badgers.
Are honey badgers anarchists? No, because they definitely violate the non-aggression principle.
No, not necessarily.
You don't think so?
I mean, well, animals aren't agents. But that being said, would snakes be agents too in this idea?
I don't know.
Oh.
I do not know.
Yeah, I mean the problem is
they definitely steal from bees. That's why they got their name.
In order to define the nap, one of the things you have to define is the set of creatures it applies to. And if you apply it to all living things, then it's suicide because you can't eat anything that isn't living.
Right.
Okay. Wait.
Or wasn't living.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Because if you eat like a thing of lettuce, right, like it was living, but then you picked it, and so now it's, I guess, dying. It's still kind of alive when you eat it.
You know what a honeymoon salad is?
When you eat your wife's ass?
No, it's lettuce alone.
Lettuce alone.
I thought that was like a euphemism for like a thing, these popular things that
it was
the
a
kids
good
do.
guess, I thought.
Popular things that the kids do,
Show me eating your wife's ass.
Survey says number 7 answer. The proverbial your mom. I make so many your mom jokes, man. It's both a curse and a blessing because I have gotten more humor out of like, and here comes your mom, or that just like your mom, or whatever.
So one of the oldest recorded jokes in human history is a your mom joke.
What is it?
I forget. But
Dude,
they go back.
You can't be like one of the oldest jokes and then be like, I don't know what it is though.
I forgot, man. It's really old.
Don't you
it was
have
a long
magic
time
rectangle?
ago.
What the fuck?
What, I got to remember every single joke? Fuck off.
No, you don't.
But no, we have had your mom jokes since as long as we've had writing.
Since the original your mom. I don't mean your mom specifically. I mean the original your mom. When you tell your mom jokes,
Eve,
sometimes
then.
you have to specify. You have to be very specific. Because some people will get upset if you.
I don't mean your mom.
If you tell a joke and you're like, just like your mom, they'll be like, you motherfucker. I'll often hit you or whatever.
It's true.
Because, not everybody believes in and follows the non-aggression principle, right?
That's
You
true.
insult somebody's mom, fist is coming your way, whether you want it or not. Now, they definitely have violated the nap at that point, but.
Humor is a fantastic test of civilization.
Isn't it weird, though, that you can, verbalize somebody into violence?
Yeah. Yeah, that is, it is a really strange thing that in a lot of cases, if you say just the right thing, you can cause someone to go temporarily insane.
Yeah.
That's really wild.
Yeah. And that has to be a defense mechanism, right? As far as humans are concerned, that has to be a defense mechanism. It has to be a survival thing. That somebody can annoy you so much that you're willing to get violent on them because of what they're, the sounds coming out of their mouth, right? Imagine before language, cave people, right? And there was some, one cave person just, the other cave person and said the wrong thing and bam, You know?
Well, and that's the thing where insulting someone means, hey, I'm higher on the totem pole than you. I have bigger status than you. If you let someone get away with insulting you, you agree that they have higher status than you. So if, on the other hand, you punch them in the face, they stop insulting you and you don't lose status.
Yeah, but that's not the right way to go about saying that no, I do not believe that you're a higher status than me.
I agree. We should evolve from that.
Yeah.
We should be a little
words,
better than cavemen.
Right? Like, I mean, it's such a cliche, right? You hear moms tell it to the kids, like in the grocery store all the time. Use your words, little Timmy, or whatever, right?
Did you know our face is designed to take a punch directly from the front? Yeah. It was so common in our ancestry to just get punched directly in the face that our skulls redesigned themselves for the purpose.
I just see a new cartoon, right, with somebody just, the same types of people just repeatedly getting punched in the face. The whole cartoon, that's the entire premise. Like Terrence and Phillip in South Park, where I was farting, right? It'd be like these guys just keep punching each other.
All I'm thinking about now
face.
is these like hand puppets that have little clubs that hit each other on the head with the big noses and the.
Far out, man.
And now I'm thinking of a hand puppet of a nun with boxing gloves. So,
I used to know this band, and they had a song. I'm probably going to butcher the name of it, but it was like two nuns in a chainsaw fight. And I was like, I don't even care to hear the song. That's a great song title. And then, like, the song was pretty good too after I heard it. But I was like, I wanted
you
to
had
listen,
me at the title.
I wanted to listen to that song based on the name alone. I'm like, that, like, you can't, like, come on. Two nuns in a chainsaw fight.
It does instill a certain amount of curiosity.
There's certain things people create things with words. Dude. Like words are art. They're communication, but they're also art.
Yeah.
And
well, it's why language arts is a thing. Yeah, and it's a very strange thing because they do bridge that sort of gap between something that is linear and something that isn't linear, because you obviously have to make your sounds in a particular order. Like, you can't effectively say two words at once and someone hear it. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
But there's also a thing in language where a later part of a sentence can completely change an earlier part of the sentence. So it has a non-linear quality to it.
Right.
So it's a very strange thing. It bridges that gap.
Yeah, it's both an art and a way of delivering data.
Yeah.
Right. Disseminating it to as many people as possible, right? And it gives us, I guess, an advantage over other species.
Oh God, yeah. Like, I would say the primary advantage that we have over other species.
And I want to say too, like, we talked a bit about, like, yes, a person, can potentially annoy somebody into violence, right? But the opposite of that is also true. You can use your words to uplift people.
Yeah.
To express love and compassion and friendship and caring. And, like, there are times when I've just been out in the world and, just randomly said something and they're like, hey, that made my day, right? And when you do that, you're like, you feel good about yourself when you spread the kindness, right?
Yeah.
And they feel good about themselves too. So, words can be damaging to a person, more damaging if their intention is not good.
Yeah.
Right? And more damaging if it's coming from somebody that they are supposed to respect or they depend on, like a child depending on parents, kind of a thing. But the opposite is also true. Language can spread all of the goodness that humankind have, and it does frequently. And what's more is that the more you decide that you spread the kindness, the more kindness you get in return. It's like there's no law of diminishing returns. It's always return on investment.
Yeah,
every time.
It's a completely involuntary reaction. When someone gives an emotion to you, you feel that emotion and you give it back, and it's completely involuntary. You can
and it's free. You can give kindness. It's free to give kindness. You just be kind to people. Doesn't cost you anything.
You can suppress it, but, like, the reaction happens to some extent or another every time. Like, there's always this ripple effect of every emotion that we express.
Yeah.
Yeah, and God, language is truly magical.
That
like
is
it does that, and also you can have that response from someone who died 400 years ago. They too could say a kind word that gets spread through who knows how many people.
Yeah. There is this sort of unwritten or not often spoken about. I don't want to call it it's a human social currency, right? We're talking about currencies, right?
Yeah.
There's this social currency of hey, that guy's kind, that guy's generous, right? Or has the respect of his community, that kind of a thing, right? That exists. And if you happen to earn those tokens within your own community, why, you're doing pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And like, I don't think it's talked about enough that is currency that, yeah, you could spend it before you actually have any. And when you do spend it, you get more.
Yeah.
It's weird. People forget about that. I was telling somebody this the other day. I like to do the opposite of what I call the negative spiral. The negative spiral is like, man, this bad fucking thing happened to me. What else is going to go wrong? And then he goes throughout his day, and then inevitably, because he's thinking, what else is going to go wrong, fearing something else goes wrong. So I try to do the opposite of that. When something goes right, when I get a win.
The positive spiral.
Yeah, the opposite of that. When I get a small win even, right? Like, I found $5 on the ground and nobody was around. Okay, what else can go right?
Amen. No, it's a really good
and
practice.
It works sometimes, man.
Well, yeah,
sometimes you get to ride that wave up instead of riding that wave down.
I mean, there's a reason that our brains or our minds are compared to computers. And it's not a one-to-one, but there is definitely a certain amount of garbage in, garbage out, right? Where, like, if you habituate your perception to what is good, then you will see more good things. I mean, senses are trained. And you will train your senses one way or another. And if you train your senses to what can go right, then when there's an opportunity of something that could go right, you won't miss it.
Nobody's ready to tokenize kindness. He's building an app right now. Building a nap. Oh, not building an app. My bad.
So here's a question about the nap. Okay. So it seems to me that, like, okay, if I blind you, I've definitely harmed you.
On purpose, yes.
Right. If I blind you on purpose, I have definitely harmed you.
Yes.
So it seems to me that the most articulated version of that would include lying. Like, if I knowingly give you information that is wrong, I have falsified your senses of the world. I have made you blind to a truth in reality intentionally.
Okay.
Now, I realize that this is, it's like a microaggression, right? Like, it's a really small articulated version of this, but, like, that idea carried to a furthest extent seems to me to say that even lying is some amount of aggression.
Nobody? Is lying?
Nobody knows.
Is lying an aggression? Is it lying? Is that a violation of the nap?
I mean, it can be. Fraud is.
Right. Right.
So if it leads to my gain, it definitely is a violation of the nap.
But actually, if it leads to my loss.
Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting difference or differentiation.
Yeah. I mean, if you write books, you lie and get paid for it.
Right.
Fictional books.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're not violating the nap.
Well, because you
are lying for your own gain.
Well, if
but
you're
not
putting
somebody
out,
else's loss.
If you're putting out a book of fiction as if it were a book of fact, that would also be fraud, in my opinion.
Well, like Dianetics.
If you knew it, then yes.
Yeah.
What's the Scientology book?
Yeah, Dianetics. Yeah.
Yeah, it is Dianetics.
The
interesting thing is actually there's a connection between my church or our church and the Church of Scientology. which is that, well, Scientology was started by a science fiction author.
L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard. He was friends with the first prophet of the Church of the Invisible Hand, who was
Heinlein?
Robert Heinlein, and he made a bet with Robert Heinlein.
Heinlein's who he made the bet with.
That as to where he said that he could make up a religion and make people believe it. And that was supposedly the origin of Scientology.
Oh my God. Oh my God. All right, well, with that, we're about out of time. Nobody, thank you for being here. We'll talk to you next week, man. Peakless, thank you. And I'm going to take folks out with a little heavy metal song that I like, if I can. If I figure out how to operate this board properly and press and click buttons.
Dance, fingers, dance.
Have a good night, everybody.